We are live, according to the internet. We're live. Hello, everybody. Yay. Yeah. So we have this week the show full of Andys. So if you're going to get, this is going to confuse the pants out of everyone. So we've got an Andy below me, an Andy there, and an Andy there. So I don't know how we're going to work this out. No, it's actually easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this one Andrew. So if I click this button, it should show Andrew me. And then we are going to call this horrible sod down here Brooksy. See if I can remember to call him Brooksy. And just to be nice, we're going to call the new Andy because I think that just makes it easier. There he is. Hey.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hi, Andy.
Look at all that! Look at all that beautiful stuff in the background. JP8000.
Does the camera look like crap, or
no? That's it's not bad. Yeah. So you're coming to me.
Very cheap.
Yeah, you're coming to me at about 720 anyway, so it won't matter how good the cam is.
Okay.
Yeah. So you probably, I mean, unless you want all that kind of perfect looking bokeh, blurred background and all that sort of stuff. No, you're looking good. Yeah, and I think we should better sort all that out. Now, let's get the chatties up and running. I always forget to do this when I get to the main part of the show. That's what happens when you start getting old. You start forgetting things. I'm speaking for myself here. Okay, here we go. Chatties, changing that so that we get a new chatty window. This is the wonders of technology. I can just edit that. And then I press this button and we've got chatties. Look at that. So unfortunately, we don't have chatties in the same window. Well, I could do this, except we'd end up with a black one. We'd end up with nobody next to me. That way. Yeah. That should have been Darren. I mean, like, you know, Darren's not here, so he's let the side down. No, we'll just do that. Oh, that was sexy. Did you see that? It all merged. Let's all make a sound effect. Ready? Who's got a synth ready? There we go. Soundtrack effect. Wow. I don't know what that's coming from. There's like.
That was good.
Oh, I'm getting noise coming.
Sound effect, Andy.
I'm getting noise coming from your end, Andy. Have you got speakers on?
I was rustling something. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Etiquette.
It's just great sound effects.
Yeah.
We can sample that.
I'm doing some Foley work and ASMR stuff. So.
Gotta get right into the microphone.
I have something else to show you guys. Now, what we won't have time for, though, is we won't have time to look at this in detail or anything. Not that one. That one. There we go. It arrived! Yay! Wow.
Very nice.
Sliders and stuff.
You've only been waiting for 30 years for that.
Yeah, I ordered it. I ordered this in October last year. 1st of October last year was the date I ordered it. I'm actually feeling quite chuffed because I've just been told by Brad that he's not shipping any more of these after the last 50 boxes he's got in his.
Wow.
So whoever's ordered sort of like, I'm not giving anyone sort of dates, but I'm kind of thinking sort of mid to late October last year is probably going to be snapped off, and then they're going to have to wait for the next shipment. But yeah, I think we've got power on here. There you go.
Sadly, I'm probably in the waiting bunch. So
yeah. So there, I actually haven't done a lot with it yet, so that's probably why I probably won't show it. But yeah, power's on, everything's good.
So
Beautiful.
do you mean it's going to be completely out of production? That will be it?
No, not out of production. It's just he can only do batches, and then he has to wait for, because don't forget, we've still got chip shortages. There's a semiconductor factory shortage in Japan. Of course. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why he can't get them made quicker. So this is the second lot that he's made. So I missed out on the first, and everyone was throwing their synths at the screen. People were cancelling their orders with him and everyone raging at him. And I just went, nah, I've got to learn to be patient. I'm actually one of the most impatient people you'll ever meet. But I was patient. I was patient, and
Sorry, Rants.
patience is a virtue. I had to pay blimmin' import duty on this sucker, Andrew. You know all about that, don't you? Import duty. That
Really?
sucks, that stuff. Like you
thought
buy something, and then
Yeah.
you have to give the government money. Like, it's just stupid.
I pay
Right.
taxes in it. But I thought there was no import duty on music equipment. But
I
then
thought as well.
Yeah, I must have changed it.
Yeah, I thought so as well. But then again, there's the thing, like, you can go and argue with the import people and challenge it, and that thing will just sit there in the warehouse until you decide to pay them, basically. So I just went, nah, stuff it, I'll just pay them. It wasn't cheap. It was about $230.
Yeah, I'm not
cheap.
surprised.
Yes. Thanks, Big Scott there in Canberra. For you have a couple of beers on me. Big Scott. He's our Prime Minister, if you're wondering. ScoMo, they call him. Scott from Marketing is his other nickname. Doing a really good job in New South Wales at the moment, isn't he? He's doing brilliant. He's going so well with his theories. Yes.
Yes. I don't know if he's
a joke in there.
That was a political joke. Yes.
Yeah.
We don't understand.
Yeah. So you have socialist ideals and you have conservative ideals, right? And the socialist ones tend to work better with COVID, and the conservative ones tend to not work too well. Everyone seems to get COVID.
It's very interesting watching, because we've got a two-party preferred system, and the states that tend to do very well tend to have one party, and states that don't tend to do as well tend to have a different party.
Yes. So,
That's bordering on an argument for dictatorship.
so kind
There's
of
a lot to be said for it, really.
think about down there, right, where my little logo is in the middle. That's the center, right? And then so you go a little bit this way, and you have one type of political party, and then you go a little bit the other side, where Andy is, and you have another political party, right, the left and the right, and one of them creates havoc with COVID, and the other one tends to get rid of it. So go figure.
Yeah, don't get me started how it is in the US. It's terrible.
Well, it's the same. It's like Trump versus Biden. Do you know what I mean? Like how to handle COVID. You can have the Trump way of handling COVID, or you can have the Biden way of handling COVID.
Yeah, but we have a special brand of ignorance here. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we're proud
I
of it.
think everywhere does, but
We've got that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
The anti-vaxxers and the it's interesting stuff going around at the moment. Absolutely interesting.
Well, here's a funny point, because I work at a company where they have clean rooms, and they wear masks all day, every day for their whole job for years. Never once complain about breathing. Never once complain about freedom. But there you have it.
So when they're wearing masks, they can handle the heat, they can handle the breathing, they can handle everything.
They handle everything. It's their job.
Yeah. So what's the big deal?
The big deal is people are insane.
They're taking away my freedom, Andy. I don't want to wear a mask.
Well, you'll be
And
as
those
free as you like
discussions
when we
always
put
go
you in a
nowhere.
box and bury you 6 feet under.
That's right.
Then you can
Free
have
to
all
choose your
the
own
freedom you like. Then.
funeral plot.
Yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that because it's actually terrible.
I
If
can't
you
believe
refuse the vaccine, don't turn up at hospital. That's my
I can't
view.
believe that we're still talking about
Unfortunately,
this
our NHS doesn't
a
work
year.
like that.
What are we?
Okay, it's
What are we?
ridiculous.
18 months
Oh.
or more into this, and we're still dealing with people who are like fighting this. I can't believe it. Anyway, enough ranting. We're about 5 minutes away from starting the actual show. If you've actually joined us and you're thinking, what the hell have I just stumbled upon on YouTube? Well, we actually do kind of like talk about synths and geeky
It's about
stuff.
music, apparently.
We do get there, but you've actually arrived at the pre-show part, and the pre-show part is, well, we just muck around for a little bit and make sure the audio works and cameras and things like that. So, touch wood. Yep, seems to be working pretty good so far. And everyone in the chat, please do Andy, who's SynthAddict, a massive favour. This is Andy here. He's our new guest this week, and he's gone to a lot of expense. He's bought himself an ATEM, he's got cameras, he's gone onto Facebook and got advice, and he's got it all up and running. What a champion. And so what I want you guys to all do is give him a big thumbs up by hitting that big thumbs up button, because it'll show that you appreciate the effort that he's done just to come on here, and he's going to share with us some of his knowledge about custom MIDI controllers, which I think is going to be an excellent show, because that means that I won't have to talk so much this show. It'll be less of me talking. Look, there's one there. Look at that. Oh, he's just disappeared.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. And we've also got Andrew.
Sneak peek.
We've also got Andrew Me down below. As you guys know, he's the MIDI guy. We'll call him. He doesn't like being called the MIDI guy, but we'll call him like
Midiot. I think was the other term.
Midiot, yeah. We'll call him MIDI. We'll call him MIDI connected. How's that? He's MIDI connected. That's kind of a corporate word, right? So he knows a little bit about MIDI, and obviously it's good to have him on the show as well, because we can pick his brains. And I think he's got some stuff to show us too. So Brooksy in the bottom right corner, he's probably like me. We're just going to sit back and have a ride, aren't we, mate? Hey? It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I haven't got any sort of dedicated controllers that I've built myself, because I haven't got a clue. So I'll just sit there going, oh, yes, lovely. That's nice.
Does it go bleep, bleep, blop?
Can I just share something now? Because I really want to get this off my chest. But, Sonic State did a compilation album. Right. Well, I downloaded that. It's absolutely brilliant. But there's a track on there by a band called The Girls, and it contains one of the best lyrics I've heard in ages. And I really want to get it, because I noticed that Andy's controller's got all sorts of hexagons. And the lyrics is, I'm a dodecahedron in a room full of squares, and there's no party atmosphere here. I just thought that was genius. I thought that was poetry in a lyric.
Dodecahedrons.
So, and yeah, get that in a song lyric. I'm a dodecahedron in a room full of squares. I thought that was genius. Right, anyway, I've said my bit and I'll shut up.
So how many sides is that, Andy? Brooksy, sorry.
12. 12. Come on.
Good.
Undecim, duodecim, tredecim, quatuordecim. Don't give me that Latin crap. I can do it.
Yeah. Or never ask a linguist questions about language. They'll always beat you.
Or a D&D nerd.
I used to study biology. We did a lot of Latin. So.
The dodecahedron die. Yeah, right. Okay.
Max says glitching. Mark, what's glitching? Who's glitching? Am I glitching again?
It'll be just something to do with streaming. Got to remember, Mark. Right. Who said Mac or Mark? Who said it? Mac. Mac said it. You got to remember, it is coming from Australia, and in Australia, kangaroos actually keep the internet going down here. I don't know how. They just jump up and down on a trampoline. It generates electricity, and that's what actually causes the internet. Believe it. Mm-hmm. No, it's still working.
Watch out for the drop bears.
Yeah, it's still working. Yeah, to watch out for the drop bears and the bunyips. Beautiful.
I thought it was a Tasmanian devil sending like dynamos.
Tasmanian devils. Those things are nasty little buggers, let me tell you.
They're cute from a distance.
Yeah. Yes. You don't want to get near those things. You know how you guys have got raccoons, right? And raccoons will just about eat anything.
Have we?
No, Andy's got them. In the US, he's got raccoons.
Raccoons are great. I used to work at a children's zoo, and I used to play with the raccoons. It was great.
Yeah, they'll eat anything. They'll even eat humans, those things. So Tasmanian devils kind of remind me a little bit of the sort of the same personality as a raccoon. They're kind of similar. They can be a bit nasty if they want to.
They can be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
They can also be sweethearts, too. We had some really nice ones at the zoo. So.
Yeah. Oh, they can look cute. Absolutely. They can look really cute.
I mean, they can behave nicely if you get them and raise them from little guys.
Yeah,
they're still wild, but they're still unpredictable. The bobcats are very unpredictable. But
the bobcats, yeah, I've seen those. Yeah. Interesting little animals they are. Right, we're about a minute away from the start of the show, so we should probably get ready for hitting the button. Keeping our eyes on the clock, and it's like everyone's got a lagged opinion of when the clock is going to turn to the hour. It's here we go. Here we go. Start the show. Well, a big hello to you, and you've made it to another Saturday, so give yourself a pat on the back. That was a good effort for lasting a whole week. I hope you had a good one. And this week we're going to be doing a bit about MIDI controllers. And this is a great show for me because I get to sit back and let some other guys do the talking, which is awesome. Hope you've are going to stick around. We've got a few stuff in our regular segments, which you guys will already know about. And if you're new here, do stick around for those. But first, let's say hello. We'll do new guests first. So I'm going to start with... Whoops, that one there. We'll start with Andy, who's come all the way from the US, and we know him as SynthAddict. You've probably seen him in the chat before. So a big hello to you, Andy. Thanks for joining us on the show for the first time.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So we're gonna scratch your brains a bit later on with the MIDI controller. But while we've got you, tell us a little bit about yourself and your love for synths, obviously, so we can get to know you a little bit.
Oh, sure. Well, growing up in the 70s, I was into prog rock and hard rock like AC/DC, stuff like that. But then I heard Switched on Bach, like a lot of kids did, and it just totally blew my mind. And I always loved classical music, but then after that, it was like, wow. You start hearing synthesizers more in movies, Giorgio Moroder. Later on, I got into Tangerine Dream big time, so I started kind of emulating their kind of stuff in my little things. And just tinker. I did a lot of stuff with sound design, sampling. I worked at a children's zoo for a while. I used to record the animals there and do stuff like Bernie Krause used to do with animal sounds, and started making little dumb sounds with songs with little animal sounds as percussion and things. And then just got into, more synthetic stuff, and hence the name SynthAddict, just kind of go crazy and buy way too much crap. So
it's a perfect name, isn't it? So this is a great name. I like it. Fantastic. And so do you actually make albums as well?
I have a bunch of SoundCloud stuff. I basically, real quick, it started with a friend who worked at Guitar Center, used to get me stuff at cost, and just started chatting with him more. And he started showing me some stuff he was doing at his apartment. And we said we should probably start doing some kind of jam stuff, because I had never done that before. I did band in elementary school, playing violin and brass, but never got too serious into music other than listening and just being a fan of music. And then after playing with him, we just developed kind of a live jam style with no preconceived things, no multi-track. It's all live multi-track to a recorder, and it's just whatever happens.
I like
and
that.
He got me to that style. Then loopers came along, and I said, hey, the looper, I can do it myself. He moved away. And so I basically said, I can do it myself with loopers. And that's kind of what I do mostly now. Not pretty much DAW-less, but I'll run VSTs to a looper or something, but
yeah. Oh, that's cool. Loopers are good. And obviously you're probably pretty excited about the new 505 that was announced, the Mark II, last week.
I have two of them already, the originals, and I'd really wish they'd add more tracks, because I ended up using my iPad Pro for looping mostly now, because Loopy HD does 12 loops. And that's pretty much a very elaborate track right there. 5 loops is kind of hard. I know Gaz did some great stuff with the RC505, and I've had a lot of fun with it, but pretty soon you outgrow it in a way if you want to make more elaborate stuff and have a longer track with things coming and going.
Yeah.
So
so the laptop is still king, isn't it, in that sense?
No, the iPad, actually. iPad's my favorite.
Yeah. Right,
yeah.
Gotcha.
The apps for iPads are insane. I mean, as much as I love hardware, the iPad app stuff is just outrageous, especially the Wolfgang Palm stuff that unfortunately went away after he died. But I still have it on an old iPad, and that stuff's amazing. PPG type stuff.
Wow.
Phonetics, this one called Phoneme, that's just really crazy to do really weird sounds.
Excellent. We should probably do an iPad-y sort of show.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it's something that we haven't really touched on. All right, let's get on to saying hello to Andrew, who's also here. Big hello to you, Andrew.
How
nice
you
to
going?
have you again.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I've been sort of plowing away the last couple of weeks. I've been doing a bit of work with actually recording some actual music, not finding I don't particularly like the mix, so I had to go back and do some shuffling around. And I've started working with a guy who I think has decided to recreate the 90s, because he's like buying all this old rack mount gear, and I think he's trying to buy every Quadraverb Elisa's quadriverb he can possibly find at the moment. And he's working with old MC505s. So that's been a bit of fun. Other than that, just been really busy with work, which has been fantastic.
I heard a rumor during the week that someone's reverse engineered the Elisa's quadriverb, and they're going to be bringing it out as a So that'd be interesting to see if that actually comes to fruition.
That'd be very cool. I'll have to pass that on. What, bringing it as software or something?
Yeah, or even maybe in a pedal or something. Yeah.
That'd be very cool. In a pedal, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, not really sure what they were planning on doing it, but it was just a real sort of something that I saw very, very briefly, and it flashed past, your screen. The scroll bar sort of went past, and I went, what? And it was too late, it's gone. One of those things.
The SynthTech modular, the guy who does all the SynthTech modular stuff, he has a model for something coming out shortly for his, is it the E40 5400? I'm sorry if I butchered the number, but I think it's E5400 is the model. It's a modular rack effects.
Yeah. That's probably what it was, actually, if I'm thinking rightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you mentioned racks, Andrew, I think they're coming back. I think racks are back, baby, and I could see there's a lot of people in the chat that are big rack people. Look, there's a rack. There's a rack here.
I've got one now underneath the desk here. But,
there's actually a rack down there too.
Because they've gone really out of fashion for a long time, and you can get stuff really cheap now for rack gear. So maybe it's a bit like the pre analog revival, and now everything's going to go up to like $1,000 for a quadriverb. Maybe not quite that far, but it's a bit like that. So
so what's he doing? Is he putting quadriverb into a quadriverb into a quadriverb?
I think we were calling it. I think he called it a throne of drones or something. Was I think his reference to it?
I like it. That's cool. That is a cool idea.
But he's got a whole bunch of other stuff that he's looking at as well. But I think he's bought between 4 and 6 of them in the last couple of weeks or something. So it's kind of interesting.
Excellent.
There's a local shop that's had them for about $60.
There you go.
Wow. Yeah.
Not a scam either.
No, it's good. I mean, I actually got one of them because I missed having one a long time ago. So
yeah. Hey, we should probably say hello to Brooksy, who's been sitting here patiently. How you going, mate? How's your week been?
My week's been very snotty, but I've been busy sort of putting the live set together that I've got to do in a fortnight. Working through some of the technical issues. Since we've got through the other side of that, which is quite satisfying. And just playing about, making things fit, bringing in some new samples. There's a fella in Italy who contributed to the 23 for PB album who can't make it, obviously because he's in Italy. So I said to him, "So send me a recording of your voice, just giving it a message of whatever you want to say." So he sent me that, and now I'm sort of in the process of editing it out and taking it out, nice little snippets to put into a track to play at this event, so he can be there in voice and spirit, so to speak. So that's what I'm sort of noodling about with, and I'm expecting a parcel to arrive. So if I dash off at any point, it's because it's here. All right. So.
Oh, are we gonna have unboxing? Is it one of those parcels?
It depends if it arrives or not.
Ooh,
yes, it is one of those parcels. Yeah,
I like parcels. So
depends how good Royal Mail or DPD or no, I think it's DPD that are dropping it off. So
speaking of parcels that arrived during the week, I actually got another one, and I did show this on my socials. So forgive me for those who haven't seen this before. This is this interesting teensy project that I saw that crossed my desk. And this is basically a USB-powered MIDI to the pocket operators. So you can actually control your pocket operators via MIDI. And so the firmware, I'll link all that sort of stuff in later, but we can't really check it out just yet because I've got to get sort of some stuff up and running on it. There's a GitHub thing I've got to load on there, blah, blah, blah. But that's going to be interesting because I've always thought the pocket operators had potential And I think giving it MIDI access may be just that thing. And that fits beautifully into the topic for today's show, because if you have just arrived, we are going to be doing a show on MIDI controllers this week. So do stick around for that. We don't do the main topic until after we get through our regular topics. And first regular topic is to say good day to the chatties. Got to say good day to the chatties, everyone. There are a lot of chatties here today. Wow.
Hi, chatties.
So I can't remember who got the Guernsey today. And Andrew, I think, might have, but because he's a video caller, I don't think he gets to wear it. So I think Future World Machines might get the Guernsey. The yellow Guernsey can wear it with pride this week. And then we've got B Freddy, I think that, or B Freddle. Beautiful. And Suzanne's there, Martin's there, Wagoo, JX3D, big hello to you. Daniela's there, Sonic Link, and who else did I forget? Mark M. Atto Z, good to see you. Dr. Synth, Corrosive Abuser, Keith in Watford, and scrolling. And Wayne Murray, good to see you as well. Max there, we said hello before. Inverted Popes, good to see you. I did check out Mr. Popes' latest track. It was quite ambient, quite ambient and relaxing. I liked it. It was good. So make sure you check out his latest. Human Errors there. Dazza from Down Under, the Intergalactic Federation's there. Hello to Dazza. David. David, I say David. I meant to say Da Vinci Girl. So there you go.
That's Daniela, by the way.
Oh, that's Daniela. Changed the name. Cool.
Yeah, she did.
Oh,
she did
fair enough. Fair enough. Well, she gets to JP Page. Did I say that? Big hello. And let me just scroll down. I've probably missed a whole bunch of people, but it's getting long. Don't
forget Mr. Wiggly. We got Dom in the chat with us. So yeah,
Mr. Wiggly's
hi Dom,
there.
Good to have you here.
Yep, beautiful. And who else? Colin Stevenson just at the last ASIO head. John Di Martino, Ben Breslin, and Sim. Big hello to QRD and K as well. So yeah, I think that'll do for now. We've got through most of them, so stick around. We're going to start with the first segment, which is Funny Side. And you have reached the end of the internet where really, really stupid things happen. Really stupid things, actually. And you should never, ever, ever trust the internet for stupid things, because these sort of things come up. I honestly didn't prepare this. I'm going to get in trouble. Yes. Now, I don't know what it is about crustaceans, but they seem to be getting quite interesting this week. There's jazz crabs. So your crab can play the trumpet or other instruments like the sax. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. That's interesting because there's another meme that came in the same time, and this is a crab joke.
I like that one.
That's a good one.
Now, someone would say you've got too many crabs, and that would probably be a bad thing. I am not going to go anywhere further than that. But the next one was this.
No.
This one's for Andy.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometime between, well, it got any minute now. Between 2 and 2:30 it should be.
There we go.
Probably tomorrow morning.
Memes, gentlemen. What was your favourite meme this week?
The last one because it's appropriate.
Yeah, the order dispatched. Bit of
the last two.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fiddler Crab.
The first one's just naughty.
Yeah.
The
first one was just
good.
First one, disclaimer. I didn't make that. It wasn't me. I was just asked to put it on the show, and it's a free show. Okay, so that ends the funny side. I hope you enjoyed it. We are going to go with news now. Yes, we have news. I like it when we've got news. In fact, the news is so good, we'll start with this.
Oh no, don't make me spend more money.
3 new modules from Expert Sleepers. This one's the IVO. This is a oscillator. So I'm going to prepare the next one. So we're going to show 3 modules because these are interesting. So that was the Lorelei, that was the voltage controlled oscillator, and this one is the IVO. I should say the correct terminology first. Here we go. It might even be the same video.
So good you have to play it twice.
Yeah, I might have stuffed it up. Sorry. So the IVO is the filter, is it? The VCF? And where are we? What's the next one? The Beatrix Phaser. I don't know if this is going to play the same video again. Yeah, it is. There we go. All right, so we have 3 new analog modules, and I say analog like a crazy man because Expert Sleepers haven't been known for making analog modules before, and this is actually pretty cool. I believe they're around about, what were they, about 160 UK pounds, somewhere around there, 185 US, exclusive of sale tax. If you want to get one, including VAT, it's about 185 euros. So, and apparently they are available during summer. So, isn't that now for you guys? Isn't it summer now? I thought it was summer over there. It's definitely winter over here, so it must be summer over there. Right. So anyway, they're available now, if that means it. I can tell you a little bit about the 3. The Lorelei is the VCO. It's a wave shaping with sync and cross modulations using discrete transistor OTAs, which is a good thing because it means it's not a chip-based one, I believe. So, which is always something that people like. It's got pulse width, variable pulse width modulation, so Nick will be happy. It does things like 90 degrees out of phase sine waves, you know, so it does some funky stuff, right? So you kind of can get into exponential FM and cross modulation sync with that sort of stuff. Lorelei is a VCF. It's a discrete transistor-based VCF, switchable 2-pole, 12 dB per octave, 3-pole, 18 dB per octave response, and you have CV control over the cutoff and feedback. There are 2 cutoff patch points. One's 1 volt per octave, and the second one is the attenuator for modulation. Resonance as well. And what else? The Beatrix Phaser is, this one always interests me. You know what I'm like about phasers. I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm nerdy about them for some reason. What is it? It's voltage control over notch frequencies, effect, depth, and resonance feedback. Now, what type of phaser is it? I'm trying to get this. It has an unusual offset control, allowing you to sweep filter notches without sweeping the resonant frequency. That is what interests me because I've always wanted to do that. Yeah, I'm not seeing much more information about the actual phaser. We'll probably have to go and have a look at the Expert Sleepers webpage if we want to dive into more about that, because I'd like to know how many stages it is and things like that. Maybe it might tell us there. So as I am clicking, it doesn't say here if I'm reading really quickly. No. Someone may be able to tell us in chat if they know more about it. Doesn't say on their webpage either. Be nice to know how many stages the phaser is, because I think that's important. But anyway, who thinks Expert Sleepers should be doing more analog modules?
Make them
Very
cheaper.
nice sounding modules.
So we'll go with Brooksy
I like
first.
the stuff that's very menu divey.
We'll go with Brooksy first because he had his thumbs up first.
Oh, the modules, aren't they? Great. Oh, fab. Nice. They sounded good. The oscillator sounded good. The filter sounded good. The phaser sounded wicked, but I think they're quite pricey. So I won't be buying any more modules for quite a while, he said.
Yeah.
Famous last words.
Still looking for that perfect phaser. We'll go with Andy next. Andy, what did you think?
It sounded great. I mean, I really like the Moog phaser. It's really nice. I think it's a 12-stage phaser.
Yeah, I've got that. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And I've been using phasers for years, mostly digital ones because it's what I could afford.
Yeah.
But no, it sounded great. It's hard to go wrong with the phaser.
Now, Andrew, I know you haven't really sort of hit the Eurorack bug yet.
No.
And I think you're probably going to hold yourself from doing it, aren't you? Am I right? You're going to
Yes.
stay away from
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yes.
But
At this stage.
have you ever played with the VST, like VCV or something like that?
A little bit.
Software-wise?
I really, up until now, haven't had the right system to do it. So, like, I have just for the first time got myself a Mac, which is what we're running on tonight. So I actually haven't had a computer to run a lot of stuff like that on. So that might be something for me to experiment with.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
yeah,
there you go.
I tend to avoid it because I know what'll happen if I don't.
Now, just to give Expert Sleepers another plug, because we like to, because they're a good bunch. They've also updated the firmware of Disting. Now, it's now Mark IV. I'll just play a little bit here. So while that's playing in the background, additions of the new firmware: a gate offset parameter for multi-sample audio playback and multi-sample 2 audio playback algorithms, voltage controllable ratchet for clock algorithms, a dual Euclidean pattern algorithm can now optionally use MIDI clock. You've got shift register, random dual triggers. You've got parameters to dual wave shaper algorithms and a choice of shaping type for each channel. SR and D type flip-flops for logic algorithms, adjustable high-pass filters for 3 reverb algorithms, dual pitch mode for MIDI CV algorithms, and a whole bunch more. There's a few fixes, and I believe it's a free download. So whoever's got a Disting Mark III would be very happy because there's a heck of a lot of cool stuff that they've just got for free. And I love it when people do that, when manufacturers bring out firmware and they offer it to us for free. And it's just like having a little Christmas present or a little birthday present, isn't it? Does anyone, I don't think anyone here has got a Disting. I don't think, Andy, you've got a Disting, have you? It's like
I have a Mark IV.
You've got a Mark IV?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what do you think of it?
It's insanely good, but it's, as I was saying at the beginning, it's very menu divey. So, and it's quirky with the alphanumeric display. So you basically have to have a cheat sheet constantly. And Gaz complained about that in his videos as well. It's very cool, but man, it's a lot of algorithms, and every time you update it, there's a bunch more. It is also, the jacks are really weird because these light up jacks. And they kind of wiggle a little bit. They don't have a positive lock as good as a standard jack.
Yeah.
At least that's what I found anyway. So it's a little fiddly, but yeah, the power is great, especially the EX Alpha.
Yep.
Which has samples in it and all that good stuff. So
I believe they've also fixed the quantizer, which I think there was something that a lot of people use their Disting for. They use it for quantizing, which is something that I don't need to because I've got my own quantizers here. But yeah, that's good. We'll move on to the next one. We've got Prism Circuits, this new thing called Canvas System. which is interesting. So the Canvas system is a modern take on the paper-faced modular synth from Serge. Now I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but I'm going to say Terepnin from 1973. Now this was interesting. There was actually a statement from him, because he's still around, and he said, "Let it be known that I don't support or approve of Prism Circuit. Skylar King lost any chance of getting a license when he announced plans to produce modules that were not in the list we discussed, and Prism has the gall to use my name and work without my permission even after I denied his wish. What am I supposed to feel watching a video that has nothing but blatant sales pitch for Prism's unlicensed manufacturer? Personally, I want nothing further to do with Prism. Anyone dealing with Prism does so at his or her risk." Wow, that is some ouchy stuff. So we've got some hot competition out there on the market. So if you guys want to start, throwing rocks at a certain bigger company that does clones and things, this is not the only one that does it, right? But I have to admit, this did look interesting. It's a single desktop module that is basically for someone who wants to sort of get into that modular synthesis without sort of going down the route of Eurorack. That's kind of the feel of this, but it's quite quirky in terms of it takes that sort of West Coast synthesis philosophy. So yeah, it's Buchler-ish in its appeal, I guess. But anyway, anyone know about this? This dropped the bomb on that one, didn't we? No.
No.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is.
By the way, how did Mark Burbos get his permission to do the Buchla stuff?
I'm not sure, honestly. But yeah, look, if you do want to go and buy this thing, it's going to be $5,000, just $1 short of $5,000 US. So it's a pretty decent purchase, this one. When you consider it's just 2 oscillators, triple wave shaper, 1 VCF, 1 noise source, 2 gates, dual mixer, 5-step programmer, dual processor, and 2 EGs. I can think of cheaper ways to get similar sounds, and I think even the easel may be cheaper as well. So not sure if that is going to be a successful release, but hey, we showed it anyway. Let's just see if the chatties have made a quick comment about that while we're doing it. Not yet. Maybe they haven't seen it yet. They might be delayed.
It sounded good, but does it sound $5,000 worth of good?
I think it's one of those boutique products that...
Yeah. You're buying it because you can burn money.
Yeah, it's like a Lamborghini, right?
Yeah.
That demo sounded a little bit like Stockhausen 1. Did you ever see the Stockhausen 1?
Yes, it did, yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, it's kind of like distorted sort of space music, right?
Yeah.
And that movie had
Not rackable either. A desktop-only blob. That was Wagyu's contribution. Well done, Wagyu. A desktop blob.
I think if it's made the original owner that angry, I think they probably haven't done someone too many favors. Let's put it that way. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is this is a company called Z-Tob, and I don't even know if you actually pronounce it that way because it's got a funny looking L, Z-Lob maybe. Anyway, let's have a look. It's a voltage controlled fixed filter with distortion and feedback. And is it going to play? Here we go. So this is quite massive, this thing. It's a Moog 914 fixed filter bank with 12 bandpass filters, 2 shelf filters, low and high pass. It's basically a tool for changing the color of your audio signal by attenuating certain frequencies. So there you go. Now, if you do want to buy this, this is going to be about $400 assembled. This is US, or DIY as a kit for $270, or you can just buy the panel itself for $100. This is from Xils-labs Modular, and it's available now. I do like the idea of mucking around with different frequencies in a filter, and then you've got sort of distortion and things as well, feedback. I think it's a cool thing. Let's turn the volume up a bit. Wow, my ears are burning after that. But anyway, I mean, it's a filter, so we have to demonstrate the filter. Anyone want to comment on the Z-Lob or Z-Lob, what do they call it again? VCF Zlob, is it? Okay, F3DB. Yeah. We'll go with you, Andy. We'll go with you first. What do you think of that?
Quite noisy. Kind of like the last one a little bit, but interesting. I mean, I don't make stuff very much like that, but I've certainly listened to a lot of stuff like that. And it sounds like it has potential to do lots of weird things. Like with these controllers, I like weird stuff, so
yeah,
just have to tailor it,
Yep. Glitchy stuff. Yeah. Do we need like to sort of break apart a filter like that? I think it's interesting. Brooksy, what do you feel? Do you feel your filters need to be sort of on the operating table with the scalpel out and breaking it apart into different frequencies?
I think I need some more filters in my little rack over there. I think the ones in the System 100 are a bit tame, but I'm not sure I want something that costs 400 something quid and makes everything sound just really buzzy. I'm sure if you've got lots of different things going into it and you're picking it out, I can't see it as anything more than a sort of quite fancy graphic equalizer, really. But maybe I'm oversimplifying it. And I suppose if you know what it is and you know exactly what you want it for, it's probably perfect and probably sounds great. But it didn't float my boat.
It is a bit of a distorted EQ looking sort of thing, isn't it, with all the different frequencies? So, I mean, at the end of the day, a filter is basically an EQ in its kind of weird, wonderful way. All right, what we'll do is we'll move on to the next. The next one is Noise Engineering. They're a good bunch based in the US. And they've got this new thing out called
noise.
Quantus Ampler, which is a 4-channel VCA.
They say you can't have enough VCAs, but what about a VCA and a VCA? We're talking about voltage-controlled amplifiers and voltage-controlled attenuators, and you can get them both with the Quantus Ampler. The QA from Noise Engineering is a compact 6 HP Eurorack module that allows you to duck, mix, and process various CV patterns against multiple voices. The module is DC coupled and will work with audio or CD. Before we dive into the control.
Now, that is actually good news for everyone because of the extra, a couple of things that he mentioned in that video, but the price, $169 US. So that one is the best priced offering that we've shown so far. But how cool is that? How it's DC coupled, it's voltage control amp, and also attenuators as well. I'm going to go with Brooksy first on this one because you can never have enough VCAs, can you?
No.
Oh, he's got his parcel. Oh. All right. Well, let's get through this. Get through this little section first.
Get through the news,
and then we'll do an unboxing. Yeah, just hold your horses.
I'm going to cut my fingers off.
Yeah. Now, Andy, what do you think of Noise Engineering's latest VCA?
That's actually the first I've heard of that item, but I actually love their stuff. As you can see, I have way too much modular stuff.
Yes.
It's
Nothing
not
wrong
set
with
up
that.
right now.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I don't have much of their stuff yet. I think I'm going to get like Bisimilis, a Terratus Alter, a few things like that. But yeah, I talked to them at NAMM last year, and it was really cool. The guy's super nice and really interesting stuff. How he does like almost like circuit bending of things to get some of the sounds that they do. It's very interesting technology.
Yeah, they're a great company too. They've got a lot of they take a lot of education into their products as well, which is actually quite refreshing. It's not like, here's my module, you work it out. It's like, here's my module, here's a ton of information on how we've got it to do all these funky cool things, and we're going to break it apart. Kind of like what Make Noise do as well. They kind of have a little bit of that sort of taste to them, which is, I think, really, really refreshing. And they've got a really excellent Facebook group following. If you've never ever checked them out, it's quite synthy and nerdy, so definitely worth checking them out. Okay, let's do some Brooksy unboxing. Brooksy unboxing time. We'll
Yay.
put it in between the next segment.
I'll tell you what. Juno, the shop I've bought this from, I've packaged this up. Really, it's absolutely
Looks like a pillow.
Yeah, that's quite, yeah.
I mean, I know I'm boring, but you know.
Yeah, heads down. Right, there we go. That's the first thing.
And so you can
Probably
sleep
should
with
do
the
this
box
away from-
later on.
Right, bloody hell, they've gone to town with this. They really have.
Don't break the
Come
thing that's in there with your knife, and don't cut yourself.
It's absolutely, yeah.
Patience is a virtue.
She is.
Patience
We've
keeps your
already
fingers.
We've already discussed patience and what she gets up to or doesn't get up to. So there we go. It's actually 3 boxes. Whoa! God, how exciting is this? And they are probably right. We're getting there. What's this one? A box. There you go. Tex Mix 4 mono.
Oh, cool.
So that's 4 mono channels, which can also act as oh god, it's beautiful. Oh, it's gorgeous. Black and gold.
I love the smell when you first open that stuff. It's interesting smells. Nice.
Yeah, that's 4 lovely mono channels.
Is that a Bafako Tex Mix?
No, it's no. It's from Tesseract.
Tesseract,
And
that's
it's
right.
a modular.
Yep.
It's a modular mixer system. If you remember, a few months ago we discussed a what do you call it? Come on.
Feedback
it was like a
modules?
6-channel mixer. It was a
modules.
6-channel Euro-Rap mix. That's right.
Yep.
And it was Mr. Mac in the chat who said, "Have you checked out Tesseract's Tex Mix?" I thought, well, so I did, and it just seems to make so much sense. So the Tesseract, that's the master section. You have to have the master section, and the rest of them plug into the master board via a sort of bus cable.
Nice.
So, I'm not sure how you get into this one. So
does this work out to be cheaper than the feedback modules one, or is it just better?
Actually, yes, it does. But you can keep adding to it. You see, you can keep. You know, when you run out of mono channels, you can add another 4. But you can also add in stereo channels too. So what I've ordered is 4 mono and 4 stereo and the master bus. So, but they all will connect together using these bus cables.
Yep.
I'll check that out after this, and yeah, these are gorgeous things. So that the Behringer mixer module that I've got in my rack is going to come out. But what this has, channel. You see, if you yeah, this is the 4-channel mono. You've got basically 2 auxiliary sends that are completely addressable on the master bus.
Yeah,
there you go. Auxiliary A, auxiliary B, and a Q mix. It's really very, very flexible. You can mute. I just thought it's just a no-brainer. I've got to go this way. So, and it's come to just under 200 quid for basically 4 mono, 4 stereo, and the master bus. So now I've got to take them all out of me, put them in the rack and get it all ready for next week, because I just needed the mixing solution. So
it's funny that you mentioned.
Thanks to
Andy. It's funny that sorry, Brooksy. It's funny that you mentioned the feedback modules one, because I've actually ordered that. So
have you? Oh, interesting.
I'll be getting those. Now they were 170 euros for a 6-channel.
Yeah, so this has worked out a little bit more expensive, but I've got technically 4 stereo and 4 mono in this, but it's maybe a little bit more of a faff. But so there's
nice.
The 4 stereo, so
they look nice too.
So it will all
just Brooksy, just hold it up a bit longer, because you're kind of really quick. You got to get used to the camera sort of. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful.
So maybe that. Yeah. So they are. Yeah, they're gorgeous.
Nice.
They really are. The printing on them is great. They feel nice. Not a little bit small, but I suppose it's Euro rack, so they're going to be. So yeah, there we are. How exciting!
That was an
never
excellent
done one of those
tip
before.
Yeah.
So
good tip. Beautiful.
It's paper.
I like that color. It looks like the mutable clones.
I don't think these are clones of. They do a clone of the Tides, I think, but I'm not sure. These are just mixers. The 4 monos.
Look, certain guys make. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that gold on black. It may be just one of the cheapest things that they can print. I don't know, but it's.
I like it.
They do look gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting,
I like it.
sort of lettering. Hooray! So I'll let you know next week how I get on with those. Once they're in the rack over there.
So I did look at that too, Brooksy, and I thought I ended up going with the feedback modules one, because I've already bought one of their modules before, and they're actually really good. And so what I've done is I've bought 2 of them. I'm going to have one at the base of my 2 cases that I'm building, and I mean, even that 6 channels is not really going to be a lot, but you add those 2 together, that's 12. So yeah. Okay, we should go into.
You've already got a lot.
Well, I've already got some mixes as well already, but we won't go into that. We should go into our last segment, which is Andy's favourite segment, and he's here today.
Yeah, but I forgot to send you some more.
No, that's all right. I've still got some of yours, but we're going to start with a couple that I think, have I put them in? Let's double check. Yes, I definitely have put them in. So yes, these are getting really crazy. I think we've shown these before, the Strymon Eurorack modules. This is literally just an attenuator. That's all this is, right? This is literally just pretty much like a passive bit of electronics, really. 2,800 euros. I mean, yeah, this is because rest in peace for the guy that's gone, but because he's no longer around, he's not making these. They're fetching some really pretty pennies, these modules now. And I just think people are going in for the money grab. I don't know if I agree with that sort of stuff. Yeah, but anyway, if you get away with it, go. All the best to you. What else we got? The Oberheim 4-voice. Now, this is definitely mine because it's got Australian dollars in it. So we're looking at, what about 17,000 US for that? That's getting pretty nasty. Yeah, I mean...
It's had a price drop.
It has. It's 22%. That's brilliant. Rush out now and buy it. This is actually in Falls Church in Virginia in the United States. There you go. So yeah, hello to all the people in Falls Church. What else we got? I think this might have been yours, Andy. Yeah, this is yours. So this is the VP330, the Roland vocoder. And as you guys all know, that Behringer have made a clone of this now that you can get for probably around about $400 US for their clone. And it's a pretty beefy, heavy looking thing. It is a little bit different. It is a bit different, but sound-wise, they're pretty close. But that's getting pretty nasty. It's just a tad under $4,000 in British pounds. It's a lot of money. I wouldn't say it's that rare either. If people are saying to you these things are rare, Roland actually sold a lot of these in the day, so they're not as rare as people might think they are. And the last one is also from Andy. Big thanks, Andy, for sending these in. This is the. I thought I would show this because last week we had Dean on the show, and big hello to Dean if he's watching. He was talking about the Super 6 that he bought for Udo, and it's based on the Jupiter 6, I guess, in a way. So this is actually a Roland Jupiter 6, and this is how much they're selling for now.
Which
this was back in July.
I'm not surprised about.
Ooh. No.
But when you think about it, like a Jupiter 8 is getting stupid money now, like $30,000, $40,000 US for a Jupiter 8 now. A Jupiter 6 is not that like massively different. You know, it's not massively different. It is different. Let's not argue about semantics, but you could probably, if you wanted to get that vintage sound, and you've got $8,000 in your bank, and you think, well, you know what, I'll just drive down there in my Lamborghini. I've got $8,000 to spend on a synth. Go for it, because it's probably been sold now because this one's based in July. It's taken me a while to get through, Andy, through the ones you sent. There was a lot. So big thanks for that. I think I've got about 3 or 4 left, by the way. So
Good. That went crazy. Yeah.
You did, yeah. You did well. You did well. Which one was the deal of the week from our price watch? Brooksy's gone. He's probably going to plug his modules in. We'll go with Andrew. What do you reckon deal of the week is this week? Are we going to go with Strymon?
The Oberheim, I think. Yeah, you know, 25. I mean, part of me is not surprised because just all these things are just going, as you said, you know, the Jupiter 8's at 20 or 30,000. Juno 6 is at 4,000 now or something stupid like that. I mean,
Oh man.
But I'm not surprised because it's, you know, that age and that era, but it's still a lot of money.
The Schweiman's also pretty crazy, but why isn't the DX7 like up in that sort of stupid prices yet? Because you think about it,
because there are millions of them. There are millions of them. They're not rare. So they sound good, but they're not rare, and they're probably actually a darn sight more reliable.
I was just waiting for someone to put their foot in it. I was hoping someone would have put their foot in it because I don't know if Robbie's watching, but someone would have said, "Oh, they sound like crap." That's why they don't sell well. No,
but they're 1,000, 800 to $1,000 now. Australia.
The price has gone up.
Yeah. About 500.
And it's all Robbie's
I mean they used to be $200.
That is still pretty cheap though. But I mean, when you compare that to the same sort of aged Roland synth, you know, which one's aged and priced better? Maybe that might be an indication of which one sounds better. Maybe they're linked. I don't know. Let's get everyone raging in the chat room.
These vintage machines, they're very desirable. They're very collectible. They're going to become fewer and fewer in number. But there's also added to that the cost of keeping them going. You know, they might have been good nick now, but will they be next year?
Yeah.
Or will we be able to send them off to Kent Spong every verse end?
Well, Kent likes it.
I suppose people do. Yeah, I mean they're
amazing.
amazing.
We don't have Kent Spong nearby, so
let's look after Kent. Kent's a good guy.
Take him to Kent.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, he'll be getting my Pro one sometime later in the year.
Yeah,
coming back the pennies to get it repaired.
Coming back with its teeth. Beautiful. All right. Well, guess what? We have reached the best part of the show, which is the actual topic that some people have been waiting patiently. They've been waiting patiently to see.
Right.
So, this is completely unplanned, and I mean, I've literally just brought on 2 guests to sort of run with it, and we can just pick their brains. But what I thought probably we'll do first is we'll go with Andy. Andy, I mean, I've been talking to you about this topic probably for about 6 months or so now, so I know this one's close to your heart. What is it about custom MIDI controllers that really kind of gets you excited? What's the cool thing about them?
Just get your mind wrapped around something differently, different approaches. So it's, you can take a standard controller and do exotic scales or inversions or whatever, but you can also go to some really weird controller and it'll take you places you would never do normally, because you're actually learning a new instrument and exploring and either having limitations or having some crazy options that other things don't have. And so it's just a lot of happy accidents. As you get to know it, it becomes a proper instrument and you get good at it. And you could do some pretty amazing stuff on it, even a theremin. So,
yeah. So what kind of got you started in using custom sort of controllers?
Mainly probably too lazy to learn scales and arpeggios properly.
I like it.
That's why I like one of the things I tinker with guitar a little bit. This is actually a MIDI guitar. The Casio PG380.
Right.
With the built-in IPD brain, so basically like FM, but it's IPD. And it's a great guitar, but it's also a MIDI controller and a synth all at once. So I'm not a great guitar player, but I can noodle on it and get weird stuff I can't do with keys. Same thing with some videos I posted on the Theory board and some other weird stuff out there that allows you to just go on different tangents and do things that I never would try on a keyboard.
Yeah, it's a good point. So what have you got there that you would like to kind of show off, I guess? I think you've got the board there in front of you.
First, one thing real quick, just it's a quick diversion, because you did mention the USB and the MIDI thing for the pocket operators. Did you ever see the Op-Lab that they made?
Yeah.
The Op-Lab.
They stopped making it. Why did they do that?
They did. I don't know, but yeah. So I'm not letting this one go. But
Yeah. Oh, hang on to that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So these are great because they give you, sync and USB and MIDI and all good stuff. So thought I'd show that real quick.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that guy's reverse engineered the Op-Lab. So yeah.
Probably. I mean, they have a mini one inside the OPZ, that little yellow brick you can put inside of it.
Yep.
And it allows your OPZ to be a brain for all kinds of stuff. It's great. Anyway, weird stuff like this hex key controller from See-Through Music. They're defunct. They don't make these anymore. Jordan Rudess plays the 64 key one, that has pitch bend mod and stuff. It's even better than this. This is unfortunately, a USB only one. Oops, I have it upside down. USB only. So it's class compliant and it works great, but unfortunately it's powered and MIDI through USB. So if you want to use it without a computer, I've done it before. It's kind of weird, but it's cool. But you go up in fifths, you go across in thirds, and you can do augmented, diminished scales in different directions. So it's just really interesting and fun and quirky. It's not microtonal, like some keyboards like this are. Have you probably seen that new one? It has that kind of blue and pink rubbery pads. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's out on the market. They had it at NAMM last year.
Yes.
And it finally started shipping this year. That thing's crazy money. It's like $5,000 or more now because it keeps going up.
Wow.
And it's incredibly expressive because it has aftertouch. I think it's poly aftertouch.
Yeah.
But these are clicky keys. But there's still a lot of fun, and you just explore it. These are octave up and down kind of thing. And so it's just I've made a couple tracks with it, just screwing around, and I don't know. It took me directions I wasn't thinking about at the time when I was just going to a normal black and white keyboard. But
that'd be okay plugged into something like the MRCC. If it's just USB only, because then you could then map it.
So use the Kenton MIDI host. Have you seen those Kenton MIDI hosts?
Yeah.
So that you have to rig the power in a certain way, one of those Y splitter cables, but you can do the USB B to the USB A with the little power guy off the side. And I've actually run this to my Virus.
Oh,
and
nice.
It worked great. No computer. But yeah, it's just fun to move it around, see what works, and if you're going in fifths and you're going in thirds, I mean, you can't really make mistakes. Kind of like kind of like some of his other things. This is another one that came out recently that's not so great. It was a Kickstarter, Chord Monger. It's kind of like a mini version of a chord bot, which is also really cool, or the Theory board. But it was really cheap, and it doesn't even light up when you plug it in. And I don't know. It's not my favorite thing, but it was interesting to try.
Yeah.
These are great. Unfortunately, they're just impossible to get now because they stopped making them.
Yeah.
So unfortunately,
when you're playing that with the keys being that sort of tactile plastic key, do you find that it's a touch sensitive, or do you find you have to press them down to get the click? Or
it's so funny. I should have tried it before the show because I haven't played it for probably a year, maybe more. So it's been in a case that's all nice and clean. I probably only used it maybe 5 times ever. But when I pull it out to use it, it's fun. But then I put it away and get involved with other stuff. I don't remember if it actually even has velocity. But then again, my Alpha Juno doesn't have velocity, and a bunch of other stuff that doesn't have velocity either. So I'm kind of used to that, at least on some of the classic stuff. But
sure.
It's you can work around it, or add it in post. Go into if you're going to use a DAW, you can go and add the velocity. But it's
you can just draw.
I have limitations, even though it's cool and you can tinker. It definitely has limitations. Still, it's not. This is not an awesome keyboard.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's more for experiments.
Fantastic. All right. Now, the other one, the Theory board, is is that your favorite one?
Yeah, I love it. Videos I put up with it. Last one I did was with the new physical modeling synth by Aodio called Anima Phi. And it's just fun to go in and play around with it. I'll pull it out real quick so you can see, in case you guys don't know what it is. It's not plugged in, but you guys get the basic idea here. So you have 2 sides. This camera's not very wide, but and this is a touch screen here, just on off. That's not pressure sensitive. And the right side is melody. The left side is chords. And if you look carefully here, you can see you can change your modes here. And there's some custom keys over here. And it's just great because it's preloaded with all kinds of exotic scales. Not just pentatonic, minor stuff that you expect to find on certain things, but it has. Last one I did for the Anima Phi was a pentatonic Chinese D scale. And really, really fun. It's just instant Asian flavor as you're playing it. And it works well with the strum plucky kind of patch that I chose. Almost Koto-like. And,
nice.
It's just really fun. You drown in reverb and put a little delay on it, and it's just like kind of makes anything sound good.
Yeah.
You don't really have to have any talent just to kind of mess around with it. It's kind of fun. But what's cool about this is I should have plugged it in, but it has this kind of V formation if you look at the videos on it. And you can do down multiple octaves, up multiple octaves, and even turn them all in at once. So as long as your polyphony will handle it, you can like this and go crazy. And it even has chord spread so that as you push a chord, it's actually going to light up more than one key or more than 10 keys or more, however you set it. It gets really insane with the customization on it. The one problem they have with it, if you go in the Facebook groups, everyone complains. These pads are terrible. There's velocity and pressure, but the response, even if you dial in the curve, is really, really bad. I got used to playing it because, just aftertouch on the D50 isn't great either. But basically, it's just incredibly expressive and exploratory, and you just kind of goof around and try stuff you never even thought of before. There's even like a bebop scale on here I was playing with the other day. That was kind of fun.
That's cool.
And they haven't, unfortunately, they're behind on updates, so they haven't given you any more scales like they're supposed to. People are complaining. There's a mod where you can take this apart and change the pressures, the pad action, but it doesn't work 100%. So I just left mine stock. This is round 1 of Kickstarter. This is round 2 that just finished. And I think even though mine supposedly might be a little bit less quality as far as the case, I think my pads might be better. I'm not sure if they made a mistake or not, but But they're amazing little things because it's just the great thing is that as you're playing for both sides, you get a little screen here that shows what your chord is exactly, like really detailed chords, like you're watching an Adam Neely video. And then the right side is exactly what notes you're playing. And as you're watching the chords and you're playing on different shapes and inversions, because what it does is it groups, as you go down the colors, it's color coordinated. It's like chords to really like diverging chords as you go through the list. And it shows you exactly what you're doing. So if you find some method you like, write down what you see on the screen, go practice it, and you just learn some new chords on the keyboard. So it's actually a great educational tool.
I reckon this thing would be awesome with the Blue Up arpeggiator.
Totally,
yeah. That you'd have so much fun with those two together.
It's great. The only problem is you have to remember it's real easy to go crazy with all the chords on here, and you run out of polyphony real quick.
Yeah, right.
One of my big pet peeves. Everything now is all monotimbral. I do a lot of JDXI videos because it's multi-timbral, and you can do whole things without a computer. But all this stuff now that's so great, it's all monotimbral. It's really annoying. And I'm used to the 80s and 90s stuff that was, your computer was underpowered. You had to have multi-timbral stuff. And I like that. So you can just kind of make little things in a box. And that's kind of going away, except for groove boxes and stuff, unfortunately.
Yeah. But I mean, your Korg M3 type synths and stuff like that, we're pretty good with the multi-timbral. I don't know. Yeah, you're probably right. I think a lot of stuff these days is kind of one-trick pony, isn't it, in that sense? Yeah.
It's just, because they're putting so much power into the voices themselves. And say, you got a computer, you can record multi-track, or you can use a looper or whatever. So I don't think the target audience, unfortunately, has changed, it seems, at least from the manufacturer's point of view. So they're not interested in making multi-timbral stuff anymore.
Yeah.
They're just making monotimbral, or maybe bitimbral at the most.
Yeah.
And so, it is what it is, but that's why I like the older stuff. So.
Yeah. So there's some new stuff like the Kyra. There's new stuff that's coming out that's multi-timbral. It's just not as, like you're saying, it's not as much as it used to be.
Keyboards in general are not.
Yeah.
They're not, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, cool. So is there anything else you want to show us, or do you want me to?
There's too many, but like this Nuova ring. Have you seen this little guy?
You've talked about it with me. I've seen it on your video too. So let everyone know.
Unfortunately, again, I didn't plug it in, unfortunately, again, but it's very cool because you can do the kind of CS80 style wiggle of the keys with your finger and get the vibrato. But it also has these really cool 4 little buttons here to instantly kill flavors of what it's doing at will. So you're not even touching the computer at all. Once you program it, it's a full performance instrument, and it's even standalone because it has MIDI out. So I haven't tried it yet with MIDI. I just started setting it up because I just got it.
Yep.
But it's incredibly cool because you can add now, if you don't have aftertouch on an old piece of gear, you can basically fake it with this guy. Yeah. Or if you don't have a pitch bend stick and a wheel instead, you more like the stick, then you can get your expression vibrato with the wiggle of the hand.
What sort of distance?
And it also does.
Can you get the ring away from the box? Is it fairly decent, or is it Bluetoothy sort of thing?
From what I've seen, it's you normally have to have it fairly close by, but I think it's. Bluetooth does go a long way normally just for data.
Yeah.
But I think most of these guys have it kind of on the keyboard, so it's kind of nearby. But the cool thing is it's actually multi-axis. So you can do this motion with it for one modulation. You can do this almost like kind of like a D-beam, but in 3D, kind of like the 3D dome controllers that are on some of the old Alesis equipment.
Yeah.
Where you actually get the 3D stuff. And I have videos of those things too. I have them here, but they're also not plugged in. But so there's all kinds of cool stuff that's not 3D. D-beam is just one dimension pretty much.
It's linear.
It's fun. I like the D-beam. But and on the V-Synth you have dual D-beam, so you can get really crazy. But these things are really cool, and they're not that expensive. And it gives you these 4 different things of control that you can constantly mute and bring in. I think it's really clever.
Yeah. What are they sort of selling for?
I think I got a deal on it. And again, I've had this for a couple months, and I just finally got out of the box. So it's kind of shame on me. I just charged it up and just started to program it and wiggle a little bit on some keyboard just to try it. But I'm excited. Like, again, my Alpha Juno doesn't have aftertouch. So if I want to get performative with it, other than the stick, I'm kind of stuck. But with this guy, it doesn't matter. I can add that stuff now.
Yeah.
So I think that's incredibly empowering, and for just a little bit of money, you can add it to any piece of equipment now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll let someone else. I don't want to monopolize the whole thing. So
you've just gone back to your you're back. Cool. We'll give you a little break for a sec, and I thought maybe we'd go to Andrew. Now, Andrew, did you manage to have anything prepared? I can't remember.
No, I was a bit. I didn't. Not anything that I can kind of show off, because most of the stuff I work in, as far as DIY controllers, is sort of home built stuff, and most of my stuff is kind of apart at the moment. But it's really interesting. Something that was Andy just talked about, which is the fact that the great thing about a lot of the DIY controllers and the custom controllers is they will often do things that you can't just do with a normal keyboard, and that's the side of things that really excites me, because I'm not a keyboard player. I mean, I have a room full of keyboards, and I'm like a terrible monkey at them. So I really like the. I'm willing to admit my flaws, but the one thing I really like about the idea about a lot of custom controllers is they can add a lot of depth to the sound that you're trying to actually kind of produce, because you actually have access to things that are like your you can assign them to different effects. You can, things that, and because you kind of then play them. And we were joking about the DX7 before. One of the big problems about the DX7 is it does have a lot of expressibility, but you can't actually get in there and actually tweak it while you're playing, generally. So if you've got a lot of sound sources which are either VST, or you've got something that's a keyboard that doesn't have all the knobs on the front, having that kind of expressibility is really cool, but also having it in ways that aren't normal. So some of the stuff that I've played around with in the past is using things like game controllers and stuff like that for expressibility, and having buttons assigned to different things, and you've got XY, two analog XY controllers and things like that. And it's a really, really nice way to kind of bring out a lot of actual fun in the music. And if you're even working with someone, you can actually have them doing the actual controlling of and manipulating of the sound, while someone who's much better at playing can actually play. But, I think there's a lot that can be done with MIDI before you even get to the audio side of things. I think I picked up that recently. Yeah. Which I know has been talked about a fair bit on the show before. And that's, that added a lot of, it's sort of like, oh, great, I can actually play chords properly. But it's also got a great way to kind of play around with a lot of the arpeggiations in a different way that I hadn't actually got with a normal arpeggiator, which is, usually up, up, down, down, or whatever. So there's actually kind of adds in a lot that you can kind of play with. The other thing that I've grabbed recently a couple of as well is the launch pads, the Launchpad Pros, because it's not a keyboard surface and it's a button, and it's also got the poly aftertouch on it, which seems really simple, but there's again, if you've got the right kind of sound, it actually works out really well. So again, I just like the idea of having different types of controllers, because you actually then start playing in different ways. But there's also some really good controllers that are out there. It's just unfortunate. A lot of them lot of the businesses don't tend to survive very long, I think. But there's some really interesting things out there. I mean, if you're looking at, depends if you're looking at, I want to actually physically build it myself, or I want to actually buy something off the shelf. And I think that's the balance, is trying to figure out what you want to do, because there's some great stuff like the MIDI fighters and stuff like that, and you see people who play them, and they're really quite amazing with it. They got the MIDI twisters or the MIDI fighters, and they're playing away, versus people like myself who like to go, oh look, what can I build more than what can I play sometimes.
Yeah, in terms of like building things, custom stuff.
Yes.
Now, that not everyone's going to be a DIY person, but for those who are, and I know you're pretty big on this, what would you suggest is a good starting platform to do this with?
If you want something that's just sliders, knobs, buttons, that kind of thing, I would go for something like the Open Deck, which the Open Deck is like an Arduino board. It's actually an STM32, but effectively it's just got a whole bunch of plugs that you can plug things in. But the best thing is it's actually all completely programmable over the web. So it actually, the software talks sysx to it, and you can actually say, oh, this is a button, it will trigger off this note, or it'll do all the CC, and you can just literally drag and drop it, and you can control it. And they're not that expensive, I think. And if you're really keen to really do it, they actually allow you to upload it to Arduino as well as other little virtual boards. But it's about $100 or something along that lines, US. And it's not a bad platform for building your own controllers.
Is that the Shanty? Is that the Shanty controls? Is that the one?
Yeah, that's right. Open Deck is the thing. Yeah, so on that board you can see it's got all the little pins, and literally you can just plug them into, the sliders or whatever. And it actually has DIN ports as well as USB MIDI as well.
Mm.
So this is an
Arduino in the back end of it, isn't it?
It's actually, I think this particular board is an STM chip, STM32 chip, but they have the option to upload it to an Arduino Mega as well. So if you want to do it cheaply, you can do it that way.
Yeah. Oh, because I'm just thinking if it was, so I actually don't know anything about this. So it's not an Arduino. Okay, that's good, because because the STM has got more multitasking ability.
It does. It does.
And you need that with MIDI. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's actually really cool.
It is a very cool little platform. There's a couple of other little ones around as well. There's a stack of stuff on things like Tindy and Etsy and stuff like that if you're looking for, that kind of stuff. The other one that's interesting, although if I remember correctly, it's a little bit expensive, and it isn't open source, is I'll see if I get this name right, the Yeltex, YAELTEX, which they're kind of like a modular kind of thing. They sort of have a grid, and you can actually custom build what you want. And you can say, I want a bank of sliders and a bank of knobs, and again, you can program it up yourself. It actually has a builder online. I've never actually dealt with these guys directly or anything along these lines, but these guys are interesting as well. So if you go, I've got a setup and this is how I want to work and I want to build it, you can actually just custom design what you want. And then that's a very interesting product as well. But I think they're not cheap, as in you're sort of talking, quite a few $100s to kind of get that all up and running. But the builder's kind of fun to play with. But not quite DIY. It's sort of in between the two points of being DIY and buying a commercial product, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good starting point. The thing with both of those products is that means that you're not having to get your soldering iron out as such. You're literally just either plugging something in or connecting something up. So yeah, even with the open deck one, you could just buy those little black connector cables and then connect that up with another black connector cable at the other end, and you haven't touched the soldering iron. So I think that sort of stuff is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. I think there's there's a lot of other products around. I think but again, I think a lot of it is people that they've either built just a couple, or there's been a lot of these other little ones which are kind of similar to the Yeltex. I don't think that's the right name, but where it's kind of like they join them together and they're like very modular, and you'll just literally have a slider module and then you'll have another knob module and you plug them together. But I don't know how successful they've been.
Beautiful. All right. We could probably put the show across to the chatties and see if they want to ask some questions to Andy or to Andrew about custom MIDI controllers, or even if you just want to bring some comments across. Now, Andy's getting ready for us to show us something else now. If you want to put your questions through, we'll get to those after we have a look at what Andy's going to show us. Make sure if you're going to ask a question to flag my name, because it highlights it in the chat for me. Otherwise it scrolls very, very quickly and I tend to miss it. All right, so we'll go across to Andy. He's got something beautiful here, nice and shiny. It's got a nice little display there. What do you got there, Andy?
So this is one of my favorites, the Yamaha Tenorion. And I actually played the prototype of this at SIGGRAPH back in, when was that? 2005, I think. It's made by the guy who made Electroplankton for the Nintendo DS. And he was tinkering around, had this idea. Yamaha backed him, and they came to SIGGRAPH, and you couldn't pull me away from that. Even though it's a graphics show, I was playing with the damn thing like for hours. And so what's cool about it, unfortunately, people who mostly do plinky plunky stuff with it, kind of like with Buchla stuff, often most people don't go beyond what a Buchla can really do. You know, they just kind of do, little things. But this thing, same thing. You have, these layers. It's 16 steps, 16 layers, 16 pages. So it can be a huge song. It could be all kinds of weird stuff you can do with it. But what's great is there's 3 slots for samples of your own. So what I did recently, I've been doing this for a while, but I found a really good taiko drum sample set. And I'll just give you a quick demo of what the layers do, just so you get an idea. So in layer 1, it's just a standard, scrolling playhead, and you can just do stuff like that. Can you guys hear that okay?
Yeah.
Is it loud enough?
Yeah.
So, it's pretty cool. You can clear the page. You go to these modes here. I think this is more of a blooming mode. And so it records everything you do. So if you go like this, you'll keep doing that, and you can keep adding to it. But one of the modes, starting to get rhythmic modes where you can do bouncing ball stuff, or these trace modes. Let me find the trace mode here. So here's a repeat one. And what's fun about this one is you can spin it. So it's always a little bit different. So you get some extra goodies in your thing. It's not just the same damn pattern over and over. Going in here and changing the sounds on the fly. Right. So that's kind of fun. But again, it's more video gamey sounding, kind of plinky plunky. Short samples. They're all less than a second. But I found that they're looped really well with the way they're chopped up. So if you use this as a MIDI brain, they loop really well. So you can and have things go on for a long time. And again, I never saw demos of that. I just played around to figure that out. But my favorite mode is the live mode, where everything you hold down is like a bouncing ball, and the closer you get to the top, the faster it repeats. So with the taiko drum, you get these cool patterns.
Oh, that is cool.
And it's not recording; it's all live. So you can record it, but I always do it live. It's more fun.
So the guy that designed this from Yamaha, his name was Toshio Iwai. He was actually he actually won I remember he actually won an award. I think it was the Gold Design Award or something for this actual product. So it's and I believe they don't make them anymore. So if you want to get one,
they don't.
You have to get it on Reverb.
I had 2 of them because they're rare. They're hard to get. So I got 2 when I could. So.
Yeah. We'll have a look at how much.
Put them together, and
we'll have a look at how much they are on Reverb in a sec after you finish doing your demo.
Yeah, there's a master-slave mode, so you can actually have them do more elaborate things, which is kind of fun. But another thing I did on here, I think it's this layer. The parrot at the zoo I used to work at, I recorded them and sampled them, chopped it up. I need to do some more work on the samples because there's too much reverb on them, so I need to go into Isotope and de-reverb them. But it's still fun. You can... Wait, that's not it. Sorry. It's this one. No, that's the 808 909 kit. I might have removed him because I was going to edit it. Let's see. One more time. No, I think that's 2 versions of Tycho. Yeah, I took him out. I have to re-add it. But I was going to de-reverb and make him cleaner. But he's like talking and making little whistles and kiss sounds and all kinds of stuff. It's great for percussion. So I can do like a parrot beatbox thing, which is really fun. Anyway, it's just a great instrument because, you know, you have a little MIDI dongle thing, so you can hook it to any MIDI equipment. You don't need a computer. It has, you know, like I said, 16 layers, 16 steps, 16 pages, so it gets really elaborate. There are all these cool things with when you do a recording with the right layer.
And you can put batteries in it too, right?
It's on batteries right now, yeah.
Yeah.
It's 6 AA's. So, and this is aircraft aluminum. It's really nice looking. It's super durable. It has a thing on the back that aren't buttons, so the audience can see what you're doing.
Yeah.
So if you put on a stand, if you saw Little Boots, the performer, she used to use this on stage a lot.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
But it kind of disappeared. No one uses it anymore, and it's unfortunate because, like I said, it's great for live performance without recording all those things. It's great using your own samples or someone else's samples that you got from somewhere.
Goose just said he's got Tenori on gas now.
They're awesome. I mean, this is one of those things that's very sad when they disappear because it's so cool.
Hey Andy, why don't we just quickly cross over to the Reverb page and just see if he's still got his gas after having a look at some of these used prices.
Wow.
So
there is a cheaper one.
Wow.
$2,000.
There's a cheaper one. This is a TNR I.
Yeah, and there's a TNR O.
And TNR O is the orange one. Only runs off batteries.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have the back panel to see the audience to see it, and it's a lot cheaper plastic.
Yeah, it's about half the price of the other one.
But functions are identical.
Yep.
So there is hope.
Yeah, I like that one. That was good.
I love it a lot. It's great. It's really fun. And these guys are great too.
Oh.
Well, Goo has a bunch of the blue ones here.
Yeah, these are awesome. These ones.
I don't have them plugged in, but you can see my videos. I haven't done one with effects yet, but the AirSynth is cool because it's like a theremin. This is the AXYZ dome that they came up with. It's a 3D D-beam basically, and in some patches, it's this direction, this direction, this direction, this direction, 4 different effects or sounds. Some are just proximity. So there's an FM patch where you can do some crazy FM modulation just by going in and out like that, or wiggling or doing whatever. And this is mostly effects. There's a little section on the back that has some synth sounds in it, but it's mostly effects. And they're just really, really cool because they're more functional than D-Beam, because D-Beam's just in and out. And this is like all over the place. In and out, side to side. And then there's some recording modes too where you can trigger a little built-in sequencer and it quantizes it, and you can do some stuff that way. So it's kind of fun.
These are actually getting on a bit. I think these are about 20 years old now.
They're old, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean,
and if you know about Alesis gear,
yeah,
they all suffer from AC adapters. The
right.
worst design ever.
Right. Okay.
So you can't put them on batteries without using an inverter.
So there's no MIDI control on these?
No, it's just RCA audio.
Right.
So the RCA.
So yeah, so whatever you're doing on the actual unit that's all you can do.
So if you have a looper or DAW, whatever, you're all good. It's fine.
Yeah.
But there was a controller they made, and I was able to find one. Alesis, what is the damn thing called? I forgot. It has this exact controller on it as a MIDI controller. So it has pitch bend mod wheels that light up, but also has the dome. I think it's called.
Is that the X25 Photon?
Photon, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. I mean,
it's really cool, actually.
That was also probably around the same time period, I think. That when
like
that came out.
Tenorian, it just didn't take off and it died. So
yeah.
This was like a dinosaur show, all these dinosaurs. And then, of course, there's this hilarious one here. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this one before. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, on my computer.
Yeah, put your camera back. There we go.
Oh, yes.
You guys. So this is a hilarious one because
I haven't seen that before. What is that?
It's called the Breakaway Vocalizer. See the little butterfly?
Yeah.
Actually made down the street in Menlo Park in 85 or 86 or something like that. They sold these as Sharper Image for like $200.
Yeah.
And it has a microphone that goes in the side. So MIDI in and out, because it has an Ensoniq really cheap brain inside of here, just presets. So equivalent to like a ESQ1, kind of more cheap than that. And you can't tweak them, and it has like cheesy rhythms and record functions and stuff like that. But the beauty of this thing that I discovered and started hunting these down is MIDI in and out.
Yep.
And the microphone input here or line input. So it's monophonic input. So you use a guitar, a theremin, anything, and converts it to MIDI. It's amazing. And
a stereo output as well.
Yeah, so you can use the audio, but I don't use the audio at all. The audio is terrible on it for the most part.
Yeah.
But as a controller, I bought a Etherwave theremin, the Moog one, and it wasn't fancy, didn't have even CV on it. And I'm like, I have all this stuff, I want to do MIDI stuff, but I can't afford like the Clarivox and all the fancy ones that are super crazy with the MIDI on them. But I've been using this one for like 10 years. And I use it on my Virus and use it on a bunch of other stuff. And you can, before I even got the Theramini that has a USB MIDI on it, I was doing MIDI with this guy. So it's kind of a secret weapon.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, that's got a breath controller on it, right? Does that send it out via MIDI as well, the breath control modulation?
Sorry, I hit the fade out thing.
Yeah.
It has this kind of cheesy handset thing. Do I have that handy here? No, I don't have it handy. It's like a little handset mic with some buttons on it.
Right.
But what's really cool is the buttons also send over MIDI. These expressive buttons here. It's like a thumb button. So if you are singing into it or humming into it, and then you hold the button, you can do vibrato, you can do, pitch rise and pitch fall kind of stuff, octave up and down, things like that. Glissando, where it's all stepped. So it's pretty good. It's this big kind of bulky box though, right? It's this kind of silly thing. And it takes C batteries. So when you load it up, it's really heavy.
Yeah. So
and it has this dopey cartridge system to add more bad sounds to it and stuff.
These were made in the late 80s, if I remember rightly. And if you are interested, these are all sold listings, so you can't currently get one right now. But you can see that they're going pretty cheap for a funky little sort of, pre-owned MIDI device. So yeah. All right, let's go to the next one.
So you guys have all probably seen this one. It's, I actually met Stencil at Macworld back when Macworld was still going on.
Yeah, right.
And I should have gone on their pilot program. They were going to give me some free one to play with, and I didn't. And then all of a sudden this thing took off because of all the polyphonic aftertouch stuff, the multi-point and the super expressive surface where you put your layer on there. And the Thunder overlay is pretty new, so you can pair it with anything really, but they designed it so you could hook it to your Arturi easel program to mimic the Buchla functions. But it is incredibly expressive. There are other overlays too, like there's a drum overlay and a keyboard overlay. And so I use the one for Premiere Pro for macros. So instead of sitting there doing command keys all the time, there's a transparent overlay. You can make your own labels for it. And just like on a web page, it has hot zones, and some are sliding zones, some are button zones, some are mousy zones. So it depends on how you define it. And it has these little magnets inside of it. Can't really see them here, but you can feel them. It tells it what template's on, so it automatically switches to the program you set up on it. So it's totally separate. Once you program it, again, it's basically DAW-less. You can MIDI out to USB and hook it to anything. So it's pretty cool. It's even wireless, Bluetooth if you want. So you could Bluetooth it to.
Have they stopped making that, or did you say they stopped making that, or it's still?
No. It's just back. It's just they're out. They're so popular they ran out. So
Oh, okay.
They don't have it anymore. I mean, it's going to come back, but if you go on the website, I think even these are sold out. These overlays, at least some of them are. But my one pet peeve with it is, as cool as the designer overlay concept is, it's this kind of opaque silicone. It's kind of cloudy. It's really hard to read your labels. So I ended up taping the piece of paper to the top of the thing.
Yeah.
So kind of defeats the purpose of having a transparent layer. But I couldn't read them. They're all fuzzy, So, but it's a very cool device, and it's incredible. If you do graphics at all, you can actually put like a camel hair brush on here, and in the viewer, you can actually see the fall off of the brush. It's so sensitive. So if you translate that to music expression, it's pretty damn expressive. And not crazy money, but
So this is all their morph. Is this all their morph range? Is that?
Yeah, it's all morph. Yeah. All right, it's just one device with overlays. Let's
just have a quick look at their website. So it does say currently sold out. And you can see the overlays there. So the keyboard, they've got all sorts of different ones. You can see the one that Andy's got. Like drum pads. I like that purple one. That looks pretty cool. What's that purple one?
That's the that's the DAW one that has like little wheelie things, kind of like Ableton Live.
Right. Okay. Yep. Gotcha.
Oh, wait, the right one or the left one? The purple one is that's the Premiere Pro one.
Yeah.
But you can make it do whatever you want. You're not limited to.
Yeah, they've got the MPE on these, and that's one of their big selling points too. Is they're a really good MPE controller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, that's my next item on the list.
Yeah. Are we? But with this, are we kind of limited to when they bring out pads for it? Is that kind of the drawback with this?
So there's a competitor. I saw them at Perfect Circuit, and I forgot their name. But there's a competitor in France, I think, that makes stuff just like this for modular.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the name of the company, but I saw them and I played with them a little bit. It's the same concept.
Yeah, I was going to say, I heard there was a guy that's in the modular world, but he does Buchla stuff. And he was talking about the morph pads for Buchla. But yeah, anyway, we're digressing. But yeah, the MPE stuff on this is actually really, really cool. It says here that they're also integrating scripts with Bitwig. So not everything has to be Ableton Live or Logic. There's other DAWs out there now. Like Bitwig is really starting to do some really cool things, and I'm actually starting to get quite interested in that project.
Bitwig is cool.
Yeah, like some of the things that I saw Robin Vincent do a few months ago with DC coupling and stuff like that with Bitwig is actually really, really cool. Anyway, we're digressing. Right.
Matt Hodson does great stuff with it. If you watch Hodson, he does amazing stuff with Bitwig.
He does, yeah. All right, let's go have a look at the famous one. The Rolly
So speaking of MPE.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to put this up here. I have the bigger one, but this one's easier to put on camera. But a lot of people complain. I have Osmos on order. Who knows when that's going to come out?
Oh, really? You've got the Osmos? Wow.
No, it's on order. It's not. It hasn't come out yet. It's like a year late.
Yeah.
Or almost a year late. But
are they keeping you guys in the loop with that? But just sorry to digress.
Oh yeah, we just got emails about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What is the delay?
Parts, like everything else. I mean,
right.
I do IT for a living.
Yep.
And we can't even get Dell 8 laptops right now because everything's back ordered because of parts, because of COVID.
Yeah, the one that I'm kind of also waiting on is the torso one that we showed. We had the guy on the show last year. Still waiting on that one to come out as well. I heard that they might have been releasing that. That's that kind of like controller sequencer on steroids type thing. Anyway, we'll get digressing. Let's go into the seabed. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the one I had to wait the longest for was the Theory board and the Chord Bot, but most Kickstarters are pretty quick, even with part shortages. They're better at sourcing parts or whatever. But yeah, so it's one of those things. But this one's gets a lot of bad rap from people. I know Jordan Rudess does a demo and people laugh and say, "Oh, not Jordan Rudess again" or whatever. But it is an incredible board.
They're just jealous.
I mean, you can see it's like neoprene, right? I've actually seen these ripped open. There's a gelatinous stuff in there.
Yeah,
silicone, but it's incredibly expressive. And it's multi-touch. You can do the cool horror movie soundtrack thing with the strings, like in Friday the 13th. With double slide,
the down and up,
and you can just constantly squidge it around and just get really like dead cow sounds if you want, or just it's just. But it's so beautiful because the iPad app alone.
What's a dead cow sound?
You can hear.
We always aim for that, Brooksy.
Like a dying cow, because you're smearing notes.
I see.
Because you're
a cow in the process of dying rather than actually a dead one. All right, just check it. Sorry for being pedantic.
Or it's my kids in the back of the car when I've told them that they can't go to the shop. Oh.
And did you find that you prefer?
Charged up.
Have you played with the Keith McMillan stuff with their fabric, the smart fabric? I found that a lot easier to play. Yeah. But the actual the MPE keyboard I felt was a lot nicer to play because I find that I've got that model, and I find that when I play it, I'm constantly fighting against the sort of rubber neoprene on it. Whereas I didn't have that with the Keith McMillan stuff. It was far more, the fingers could move far more freely across it, I found.
You're talking about the keyboard or the
keyboard Pro?
The new one.
The Pro, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the
big
MPE
one, controller.
Like I tried it at NAMM.
Yeah.
It's very, has this like weird hard edge keys. And it just didn't seem. Maybe you probably dial it in, but it didn't seem very expressive. This it's like pushing on skin, for lack of a better description, where it's if you push on like your arm and you can feel the pressure. It's soft and it's very, very, very. It's weird and it does grab you a little bit. It's a little frictiony, but the keyboard
that's what I find.
The big one. I didn't like that, the feel. It wasn't very. I have a friend who actually got one. He's going to return it.
I think I think the other one that you've ordered, Andy, is going to be the one, the Osmos. Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to. I think the best of all worlds there with that.
Can you guys hear this?
Yes.
So I can do a quick demo with it just to show you. I'll take the board off screen. You can. So easy Blade Runner type stuff, I'm just smearing. You can do the. Some patches are better than others. This one's cool because it does this slide function. So glide is this way, slide is this way. There's note on pressure, note off pressure, and then the vibrato, right? So if I do this kind of slide function. Here, go from strings to choir, morphing. And then what's really cool is it's polyphonic aftertouch, so you can. So that one stays static. This one's moving. So it's just, I don't know, it's hard to beat that. It's really fun once you get used to it.
Yeah.
Every other keyboard seems anemic, you know.
Richard's just told us in chat that the Torso T1 is out now. So I didn't know that. There you go. Would have been nice if they told me.
I'll show you one more. Just my favorite patch is like, do you guys know what a marxophone is? It's made in the 20s.
I don't.
I have one, but it's too big to bring over here. But it's imagine a zither, right? Like a auto harp.
Yeah.
And you have these like typewriter hammers coming down on the strings.
Oh, right. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
And they're
now.
metal flexible.
Yeah.
And they bounce. So when they hit, they go ding, 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 like that.
Yeah.
If you know that song by Portishead, "Nobody Loves Me" song.
Yes.
Yep. That's a sample from a Lalo Schifrin track of a marxophone from a spy movie. And it's just awesome sound. And this one has that kind of sound, this World Pluck one. So you can do like this. Just really expressive, fun, and the sounds change a lot. And this is just an app. This is a free app on the iPad or iPhone. Equator or other apps that they have to work with it and MPE are way better. But this is just so cool just on an iPad, and it's free. So, and it's battery, Bluetooth. You can magnet mount them together and make a giant keyboard.
Yep.
So, and even the new guy they have, the one they use for the Lumi teaching tool, this one is similar, but it actually has keys. And they light up rainbow style, and they also do the wiggle. It's like on a CS80, you can do the wiggle with the key. So they're kind of stealing Osmos's thunder a little bit, but just not as good as Osmos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun stuff.
Would you say that's your favorite MIDI controller?
It was for a long time. I still really like it, but sometimes I just want to do kind of normal stuff and not weird squidgy key stuff. But the libraries, like the strings on here, are really good, and they have these beefy. Well, maybe I'll do one more since I'm already here. Just show you real quick. It has this insanely beefy. Let me just find it real quick here. I don't have the best angle to look at this thing. Strings. But there's like synthy stuff on here that's really weird. The flute is amazing. They have like and you guys watched that. Did you see that video with Pedro Eustache and Eric Persing called EPPE?
No, I don't think I've seen that.
Yes.
EPPE1, I think it is.
I've seen that.
It's insane. So just the synths on there, the guy who plays the flutes is amazing. And there's some flutes like that on here that are incredibly expressive. I'll just pick the flute because that's easier to find right now. Peter Gabriel territory, like the Passion of the Christ kind of stuff. It's just really
Yep.
But and the string libraries, everything's really cool on here. It's just really great.
Have you guys got a bot?
Blocks are cool too.
There's a bot in the chat, is there? Or is that on? That's not in this chat. Or they're talking about something else.
No, it's not Gwen Stefani again.
No, no, and Gwen Stefani's not around. No. I hadn't noticed anything. I've been watching. So.
One of the mods in the chat can keep an eye on it. Cool.
Just as a bit of a heads up on MPE, I just thought while you're still talking about it, I should let you know that there's actually been work on about MPE within MIDI association too, so that we're hopefully getting to get an updated specification come out soon for MPE in the next sort of 6 months, 12 months. And there's a lot of work actually. Sorry, yes, go on.
I was just going to ask you, Andy. You're going to carry on giving further explanation about MPE, but I noticed you've got two microfreaks there with their quite interesting keyboard contact things. Do they transmit via MPE? Have they got sort of like an enhanced MIDI ability?
They're not MPE.
As controllers in themselves.
They're not MPE because they're only sort of monophonic or 4-voice paraphonic, but they do have poly aftertouch, or they have an aftertouch on them, which is actually because
you can slide your fingers on them, can't you, to do?
Yeah, they're not to everyone's taste, but I really like them. I can see why a lot of people find them a bit odd, but I really like them. Mm-hmm. I just find them nice. It's just a different playing style.
You know who was rating the Microfreak big time was Mark Doty. In fact, if you guys saw him a couple of weeks ago,
he was
on the Pro Synth Network show, he was talking about them very highly. So,
I bought a second,
and he knows that they're a digital, synth. So
that's always a good sign, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
like the keyboard. It's like the metallic Buchla ones.
Yeah, it's that solid keyboard. Yeah. All right, and you got some more stuff.
Just a couple more. I don't want to go too crazy with these. So this is really fun, and it's really good on an iPhone. But I'm using right now my iPhone as one of the cameras. That's this camera here. And by the way, if you haven't seen this app, it's called Epoch Cam. It's amazing. You can turn your iPhone into a webcam. It's very cool. So this thing's called Thumb Jam, and it sounds stupid, and you think, well, how good can this be? This is like a super powerful app. It's like $5 or something like that. I couldn't believe it as I kept playing with it. So first you have this is a crap sound effect, but watch this. If you go into instrument and you pick like a shakuhachi, come on, where's my shakuhachi?
Then you'll be in Peter Gabriel territory.
Yeah.
Well, that's even better than that because it's not a sample. I mean, not a fixed sample like the famous one is. Do I not have it on here? Oh, damn. I don't think I upgraded this one yet. Well, what's fun is on the app, if you pick an ethnic instrument, so different scales, different kinds of flavors and stuff, it automatically switches to that scale that's most appropriate for, like a Kyoto scale or something like that. But what's really fun is, I'll just go to the regular flute. So it has this cool, so it's already got a scale going. And it has vibrato with accelerometer. And you can quickly change your profile. Super smooth, or stepped, or somewhere in between.
That's actually quite wicked.
It is awesome.
It's awesome. And on your phone for $5,
it's
an iPad. It's just a phone. It's even better on the phone because you can wiggle your phone much easier, But it's not just the wiggle; it's also the accelerometer and for different effects like filtering.
What's the app called again?
And Thumb Jam.
Thumb Jam.
But here's the ultimate. So this is cool. You can do this. You can record. It's kind of like a DAW, so you can do all this crazy stuff. It does MIDI out, so now it's also a MIDI controller for anything, and MIDI over Bluetooth, MIDI over like a Mio or something like that, USB converter or whatever. So that's cool too. But then you see this little thing here. See the microphone thing? Wants to access my microphone.
Yeah.
So if you basically hum into it or sing into it, it's basically pitched to MIDI. on a $5 app. And it's really good. So people are blown away when they see this. I go, okay, all these other things are cool. You can do fun instrument things and build up layers and all that stuff. And MIDI control your devices. But if you don't know how to play or don't know how to play a certain instrument, maybe you're a guitar player, you want to play keyboard, but you don't know how, you can just hum into this thing and pitch to MIDI. Or audio in and pitch to MIDI. Just like on one of the tricks on the JDXi is it has that microphone for doing vocoder.
Yep.
Also is an audio input for your guitar, and you can do pitch control. That's also pitched to MIDI.
Mm.
So now that stuff's becoming more common. It used to be super rare. But
that's
I love
a cool
this
thing.
app.
So basically
everything.
What you're saying is you could just sing into your iPad and then it outputs MIDI notes and you could plug that into anything that takes a MIDI note.
And hard quantize it or make it loose.
That is cool for a $5 app. Yeah.
And because it's MIDI, you can transcribe it and there you go. You don't have to worry about doing it again. Just do it once.
So there's actually some really cool voice to MIDI stuff around, and there's some really interesting ones. I think someone mentioned it in the chat earlier, which is the Voclia Doubler, which was at the 2020 NAMM, and that's interesting because it's meant for beatboxing and humming and stuff like that. And depending on what kind of sound you're doing, it actually does it for different channels. So, like if you're doing your beatboxing or doing a sort of a clicky sounds or whatever, it'll go off and use channel 10 and use drums, and then if you're then doing a humming, it'll change that into a lead sound for you, or it's really kind of interesting. I think that had a whole microphone and a whole bunch of things, but it was an app as well, and it was a very interesting product. There's a few of those kinds
right
of
here. I have the
around.
microphone right here.
Yeah. Okay, great, because I haven't seen it for 2 years, so I'm going off memory here.
Yeah. USB on the bottom.
Wow.
Right into your computer. Andrew Wong has a great video for it.
Yeah.
Makes a whole track with it. And you basically teach it syllables. And syllables, there was an app on the iPhone a long time ago that's defunct called Vocal Band or something like that. It used the same tech idea as this, but this is much fancier.
Yeah.
And you teach it a sound, and it makes that sound play a certain drum sound or a certain whatever. And as long as you stay within those things you taught it, then it's really powerful.
See right there, Andy, that's the thing. That's the thing that kind of makes me hesitant with iPad apps, is that there's so many cool apps, and then within a few years they can become defunct, or Apple won't support them anymore because the development hasn't kept up to the software updates and things like that. Whereas that little microphone there, that'll just keep going forever until something physically happens to it. So,
well, so it's a driver thing too, though. So if they stop supporting the version of Windows or Mac, then you're also stuck.
Yeah, which is probably not as old.
It's true. I mean, that's the problem with iPhones and stuff. You have to basically keep an old one to run all your cool apps.
Yeah, and you've got to kind of wrap it. It's like snapshot that iPad, in a point in time. Because I've got iPad apps that just won't run anymore, and I'm actually really disappointed because you keep your iPad up to date, but the actual apps themselves have disappeared off the App Store and they won't run. Whoa, that's loud. Here we go. He's just getting stuff out. We'll just turn his volume down.
Was that crinkling?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Just a couple more little things. Most people want to see them. There's fun to play with them. So this one is, I don't know if you guys have seen this guy around. Artiphone makes this. The same guys that make the little jammy guitar kind of thing. This is Orba. And it's fun because it's got a little speaker. It's got a vibration sensor in it. It has these basically sensitive keys that this axis works, this axis works. And so when you're doing performative stuff on it, you can wiggle it and get vibrato. Or you can wiggle it and get vibrato this way, or you can rotate it. There's even a twist function you have to program. I did a demo with my Matrix Brute, and in fact, this poor Matrix Brute is now a table. So, but
yeah,
I do a video with this guy on showing how you can just kind of wiggle it and do stuff, and it's pretty fun. You have to do some fun stuff to make it DAW-less because it is Bluetooth or USB. So I use an app on the phone and a Mio and a little adapter to hook it to DIN5 MIDI. Works great.
They're pretty cheap too, aren't they? They're only like $100 or something, $160 or something.
And with the app, they're quite usable. Just the little ecosystem they created for it is quite good. But I wanted to use it with hardware, so that's why I got it. So that was really cool.
Yeah, the built-in synth sounds aren't the greatest, but yeah, if you use it as the MIDI controller, like you're saying, with your own gear, that's where the fun
you can do
starts.
scales with it and stuff that are pretty clever. So they kind of added that feature to it, which is really nice.
Right.
This is one of the weirdest ones here. I don't know if you guys saw this. This is a Kickstarter out of the UK called Oddball. And I've yet to make a good video with it yet because I keep messing it up.
I haven't seen this one.
But
Oddball, is that?
It's designed by jugglers, street performers, and musicians that got together. They wanted to make something that was waterproof, has a deep recessed charge port on here.
Yeah.
And then you bang it to turn it on. And then once it's on, it pairs Bluetooth with your stuff. So the app, again, just like with Thumb Jam, the app has its own sounds, and you can load your own samples in there, record with it and stuff, but it's also MIDI out. So you can, if you bounce it off a wall or throw it through the air or do all kinds of weird stuff, that you get different gestural things and different things triggering. So you can do like a hard hit will do one sound, a soft hit like a tap will do another sound. So once you figure out a method like juggling or throwing them off the wall or bouncing on the sidewalk as you walk down the street, you can just do fun rhythms going down the street with it. It's kind of interesting. But the MIDI aspect was really cool, I thought, because you can do anything with it once you figure out how to get it to work. But it is app based, so you have to have your phone or iPad with you or something.
Yeah.
To do that. But super cool for just messing around and trying to. One of the great things about it is, say you want to do a drum roll. How many people, except for that Fingers guy, I forgot his name, does a lot of hand drumming on the MPCs. There's some guy, something Fingers. He can sit and do those crazy little rolls on a pad that almost nobody can do. But this thing, it's a bouncing ball. So if you just bounce close to a surface and do really quick, fast bounces, you get that translated to MIDI, and you make these really cool rhythmic effects.
Yeah.
That be really hard unless you're a really good drummer.
And you'd actually probably do a better job than me when I was using my Make Noise Maths bouncing ball algorithm the other day, which was purely mathematical.
Oh, that would
cool. Actually be that would actually be a little bit more analogous in its way, or
I actually enjoyed
real.
it. That was cool. And just a couple more things. There's wind controllers. I don't have my Casio sax handy. I tucked it away somewhere. But this is a new Kickstarter as well called Recorder. Right. And it's so funny because they're aiming it at kids and people who just want to play the old song flute we all played, or at least I did in elementary school.
Yeah.
Song flute. We're kind of forced to play it. And so it is a song flute. And if you pull this tab out, it's, you can just song flute. Put the tab in, and now it's backing up the pressure to be a wind controller. Bluetooth pairing, and works with any app. They have an app to teach you music and have some kind of silly bad samples in it and stuff. But it's great for kids, learning stuff, all that. But I hooked this to Moog, and it was great.
So does it actually work really well?
It's not bad. The fact that it's two things, you actually have two instruments now. You can even have the wind still on, but the pressure's not as good without the plug in it.
Okay, so does is it
All
just
recorders should be
USB that? Yeah,
To charge it, yes, but no, it's Bluetooth.
So it's Bluetooth. Oh, right.
So
I've just put in the chat. I mean, it's interesting because the other day I was watching Gary P. Hayes, one of his videos, and he was using the Akai EWI as a soloing instrument. I don't know what he got it hooked up to, and I just thought that was a great way. He was doing a sort of Tangerine Dream style thing, and I just thought, oh, that's great. I like the idea of that. But I mean, I don't play clarinet or oboe or anything like that, so I wouldn't have the maybe learn it all right. But I thought it was a great idea. Maybe something like this would be a sort of shortcut.
There are lots of good ones. The Roland Aerophone, but this is my favorite. The Silphio from the same guys who make Anima Phi. This thing's insane. You have to watch. I'm not a good player because I'm just learning it. This thing, if you watch that Pedro Eustache guy play he's had it mapped to Mainstage and a bunch of other apps, and he's got this crazy orchestral thing going with it that's bonkers. And but it sounds great. It's not just goofy stuff. It's really powerful because you have twist, tilt, breath, pressure, your finger holes here. You have a little screen on the back, all these different modes. You also have your octaves here, up and down. You have a ribbon controller right here for expression. So almost like MPE, you have basically 5 degrees of expression here.
Yikes, how much is one of those things? It looks expensive.
Cheap, but it was a special bundle a while back, a couple months ago. Because I've been looking at these for a while. I go, yeah, there's no way I'm going to buy that. It's like $1,500 or something like that. I'm like, that's crazy.
Beyond my price.
And I haven't played. I used to play brass, but I wasn't playing like woodwinds.
Yeah, it's a different kind.
Well, what's cool about this is you can. It has so many presets in here, and a lot of it is very synthy. They're not trying to be a sax. They're not trying to be a clarinet. Now it has good patches for that. It's physical modeling as well on a lot of the patches.
So it is physical modeling.
Yeah. Some of it is. I don't know if all of it is, but you can tell. But that's what's so cool about it because it's a synth. You can go crazy with synths, right? And go off the charts with it.
Ben's saying it's a bit big for an e-cig.
Yeah. But it's really cool because it's all one piece. It has this little hole thing at the bottom. They have these 3D printed plugs. You can put your level of resistance in here. If your sax player has one kind of resistance, flute player has another kind of resistance, clarinet. So if you want to mimic the resistance you get in the system, you put a different plug in the air hole. So they thought of everything kind of. And they keep adding updates to it. It has, I think currently, they don't call them patches because they're like little universes because the patches, the sounds morph so much on a given patch. It's pretty nuts with all this expression and all this other stuff they've programmed into it. Because it's a synth and not samples, you can go really nuts with it. So it's a lot of fun. You got to check out some videos on it. Pedro Eustache does some great ones, but I could never do it justice. I just have fun.
Yeah, Wagoose mentioned that Georgia Anguillis does some good things on that. I think she actually got given hers. But
she has a custom one that has like I think it has the pink
thing
here. Yeah. Yeah, she
got you mentioned the old Casio horn.
Oh.
Yeah,
there you go. MIDI out. I've come a long way since those.
Wicked.
I got there's a black one only from Japan. I got the black one. And
yep.
Nice.
Yeah, I've got an.
Do you use it, Andrew?
I actually have another one that I bought.
Put you on the spot.
He wants you to play it.
I did. I think no. Well, it's what actually the problem is that the one of the capacitors has died. So you turn it on, and when you play it, and the internal sounds, I say that loosely, it sounds like screeching banshee because it needs one of the capacitors replaced. But I had another one, and I think I was doing covers with it. And I was doing Guru Josh
Infinity.
Or something.
Yeah.
Something terrible.
Oh my god!
And it was just as bad as it sounds when you were doing it, but it was
the 90s. The 90s are calling.
That screaming thing's the Mike Zorn patch.
Oh yeah.
But
that those wind players, Mark Isham, all those guys. Yeah, wicked. Oh,
that one's also very interesting. The old Jamstick.
What?
Yeah,
it feels a bit. Cool. I feel a bit sort of cramped up doing it, but it's actually it's actually not bad at all. No, it's a guitar controller, but it's meant for. It's their first version.
Is that the Plus?
So practice.
Oh, that's the old one. Okay.
Yes, it's a Plus, but the newer ones that actually
the other one's slower.
Yeah,
they have two of that kind of. There's the old one that was Wi-Fi. That one's Bluetooth.
Yes,
and the new one's more like a regular guitar, but they're crazy expensive.
Yeah, I that was a picked it up cheap secondhand, that one.
Sasquatch was asking about the Zoom Arc as a controller. I don't know myself.
Not a big fan.
Yeah,
I got it because it was cheap, but it's not good.
A lot of people have said that project flopped.
Bad UI. I had a friend of mine who grabbed one and she said, I can't get this thing going. And she said, what am I doing wrong? And I said, I'll bring it over. We sat down with it and I felt stupid at the end of it and went, not that great. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, which is a bit of a shame because it sounds on paper, it sounds like a great groove box, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. There's a reason they went out for $99.
The best thing about it is the ring is accelerometer. So if you have a cool sound in there and you can actually move the ring around and get, some expression out of it, but it's ugly. It doesn't work very well. The sounds are terrible.
Yeah.
And trying to get it set up was just horrible. It was just like,
Yeah.
It's really kludgy.
So what I heard was when people grabbed it, it was kind of like, okay, so like where do I hold it without it like doing something stupid with it? It was kind of a bit eclectic with that, and then you had to set it up. And then the setting up thing was just a pain. So it's like you said, it's kind of UI. But I guess the question about it being a MIDI controller might be interesting because if it does just send MIDI through, maybe that might make it actually quite interesting. I don't know. Instead of using the internal sounds.
These things are worth the effort, but those are not. They're just not.
We didn't discuss the MIDI sprout.
What's the MIDI sprout?
I have that. I forgot to pull it out.
Do you have one of those?
Oh, let's have a look.
I made some videos. If you want to see it in action with different plants, I made a video on my channel.
Okay. I'll have to go and have a look at those.
It's way cooler than you think. A lot of people think it's kind of a new agey thing or whatever. It's just biofeedback signals that all organisms produce. So if you ever do biofeedback with galvanic skin response and you relax and the tone goes down and down and down.
Right. Yes.
Your resistance changes on your skin.
That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
So plants have the same kind of thing. And what's really cool, if you watch my video, it's a little bit, it's probably like 10 minutes, a little long, but I did a little test because I'm a bio nerd from school training. I have a degree in biology actually, even though I do computers. But what's really cool about it is the photosynthesis has two major peaks. There's a red and a blue peak. So I thought, well, I have one of those kind of UV purplish lights on a key ring, and I have a red light for astronomy stuff that I do. So I'm curious if this thing responds differently than a white light. So I am on that video. I actually do a little thing with the different lights, and it's kind of cool. The intensity certainly changed, and there's a different tone on the MC101 that I hooked it up to do some synthy stuff with it, and the tone actually changes as I cover the light, as I flash the light, change the colors, touch the thing. It's not a joke. It's actually a real thing. It's pretty cool.
Hey, what I thought we'd do
for ambient stuff. Yeah.
What I thought we'd do is let's have a look at the video on the Oddball, because I think a few people were kind of kind of interested in that. So I've got their website up. Let's see what the video's like.
I haven't seen any good ones yet, but you get an idea how it works.
This is theirs, so.
Yeah.
Boom. Oddball. So simple, so cool. Put your headphones on, cause this is the ball that makes beats. Loop and record wherever you are. Change sounds and build complex tunes. I'll share it to you, you share it to your friends, and we'll all end up making beats together. Oddball is pressure sensitive. That means you can control the sound you play with the bounce you make. And if you got the skills, you can connect more balls. There's no perfect way to play this. You just have to do your own thing. Whether you're showing off outside or you're a serious beat maker. And one of the coolest things about it is that you can add effects to your tracks. How mad is that?
All right, that'll do. We get the idea. So,
Well, it was cool.
there you
That'd
go.
be great. No idea if you could actually make it work.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think anything like this is actually aimed at performing, and if you want to make your live performances more interesting, these sort of things are actually a cool thing. Instead of just sort of standing up on stage with a couple of synths and twisting knobs, controlling it via some other kind of cool wireless types of MIDI controllers is actually a good thing. And a lot of people do really like this. They'll talk about it. Oh, did you see that guy? He was throwing balls around on the stage and it was making music. Or did you see that guy with the ring on? He was doing the laser harp with the ring or whatever, you know what I mean? So these are cool things. And I think Lisa talks about shoes, a few years ago, which she talked about making shoes, MIDI shoes. She should still go ahead with that idea. I think it's a great idea.
This is basically what Laurie Anderson was doing in the 80s.
Yeah, with the tie.
She had drum pants. She had a suit thing where she would hit the suit.
Yep.
And trigger a synclavier. And that Home of the Brave video, it's on YouTube. It's really cool. It shows all this weird stuff she does.
She has a tie that controls a tape recorder, and it slows it down and speeds it up. And Home of the Brave is a great video. Definitely go watch it if you haven't seen it.
Oh, there's been somebody else recently who's been wearing suits and hand gloves and things. It's not Laurie Anderson. I can't remember. I'm sure she's been on Sonic
Imogen
State.
Heap, the Mimu gloves.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Thank
Imogen.
you. Imogen Heap. Yeah,
Yeah.
I tried them. Another SIGGRAPH thing.
Yeah.
They had them at SIGGRAPH. I got to try them for like an hour and a half, and I would have bought them, but they were like $10,000.
Oh wow! Are they really?
They came down. They came down in price, but at the time the R&D was so expensive on them because it's MIT project that they. I said, I like this thing a lot, but I don't think so.
Yeah. It's like someone wanted his money back for his time.
What about?
Well, if you know Helen Lee, have you heard of Helen Lee? She does a lot of like Arduino projects for music. She was at Maker Faire nearby recently, a couple of years ago. And she does a lot of custom circuits and weird stuff. She was living in Germany for a while. I think she finally moved to the States, but she worked with Imogen Heap on some of that stuff. And she makes a kid's version called Mini Mew. And you can just take a little sock or a glove and put this little circuit in it and have a cheap version of it for like $100.
Cool.
I'll tell you who else does some interesting things is Dr. Kate Stone from Navalia, who did all of those touch controllers. And she was the one that did the pizza boxes that were DJ controllers and stuff like that. And she did a range of that kind of stuff where it was all... she does something a little bit different, but it's that using different surfaces and different kinds of things to make MIDI controllers. And they had like an app, and they were doing like DJ mixing out of pizza boxes that you got delivered to you. So there's some interesting things along that lines.
She does that sort of that printed like 3D
she does a lot
printed.
of the touch.
Yeah. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
We should go check out. We should do another show where we actually like looking at that sort of stuff. That's really cool. Because it's all music based, so it's definitely worth checking out. I think we should probably start wrapping it up. We've been going for 2.5 hours. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Andy's had me completely mesmerized by all
Sorry,
the cool
guys,
stuff.
I talk forever.
No,
it's all my fault.
Completely the opposite. It was like I was literally. It feels like 5 minutes has just passed. That's how mesmerized I was with all that cool stuff. I really, really enjoyed it. It's good too because you've done a really good job, Andy, in showing all that stuff and setting up your gear and your camera. And hats off to you, mate. This is. I know it's kind of new. To doing this, and you've got all your gear working, and I think we all enjoyed it, definitely.
It should have been much easier, to be honest, but yeah, I figured it out finally.
None of this stuff is easy, mate. It fails every time as well, which is one of the things that's annoying about this technology. I think we've just got to understand this is kind of pretty new tech that we muck around with when we're doing this sort of stuff. When you think about it, it was only a few years ago that the only way for you to watch things was on TV. Our technology has changed rapidly, very quickly, and I think a lot of companies are playing catch up. Definitely. Anyway, what did you think, Brooksy? A good show? Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, well, I'm quite fascinated because I've got no experience with any sort of alternative sort of controllers. I mean, in terms of input devices, it's the keyboard, or there's drum pad kind of things on the MPC or the Electribes or the BeatStep Pro. That's a sort of a known format. But I've been quite interested in these alternative devices. I've said it before. I mean, the Osmos is definitely something that really floats me boat.
Yeah.
When that comes. But other things, I mean, even since like the Lyra 8, I mean, I was watching videos this morning about the Make Noise Strega, which has got these little pressure pads and things. You can connect things just by tapping. I was absolutely fascinated by that. I'm thinking, it's just more money to spend, Andy. Come and behave yourself. But I'm really quite interested in it all. And for me, it's getting away from the keyboard. I mean, because I'm a fairly reasonable keyboard player. Not the world's greatest, but I'm fairly reasonable, so I know my way around. But getting away from the same old chord progressors. Come on, do something else. And these sort of controllers, I think, are a great idea. I do. I also think in terms of market, we mentioned that a number of these companies seem to have struggled a little bit because you're creating a new way of performing and inputting, if you like, data into a recorder, and that takes some getting used to. People have to get their heads around it. Even something as obvious as a bouncing ball, it may not be immediately obvious how that can be translated into a musical performance, and I think that's sometimes why they're not as common as we might like them to be. So I'd like to just say thank you to Andy for introducing me to some really quite interesting things which I had no idea about. That recorder, that all these little things that's just amazing, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure how far down that hole I will be able to go because of limited funds, but really, really fascinating stuff. Thank you, Andy.
That recorder's great. It's only like $60, so it's pretty cheap.
Well, that we'll be looking at. Yeah. I think it's a little pricier over here in the UK, but we'll have a look.
So what did you call it when you were kids? What did you call it?
Which one?
The recorder, the fluty thing that you had.
It's here. I'll put it on the image here. See, re.quarter.
No, but what did you call it when you were a kid? What when you played them at school?
The song flute.
You called it a song flute.
Song flute.
Yeah. We call them in Australia. We call them recorders. And this is why. This is why I'm finding this quite interesting because it's called re-recorder, right? And I think it might actually have a UK or an Australian-based developer on this.
France.
Okay, right, yeah, that makes sense.
Is it?
Yeah, so they call them recorders.
It's a stupid name. It doesn't record anything.
It re-records.
I really want to record it.
I have to say, there's a ton of stuff coming out of France right now. That Silphio, the wind controller thing, the physical modeling stuff, Osmos, It's just crazy how much that ring is from France. The Nuovo ring.
Yeah, that won an award. That ring too.
They're all French.
That
Yeah.
Andrew, that won an award at the MIDI thing, didn't it? Was that the ring that won the award? Pretty sure it did.
I think it was the Genki one, wasn't it? No, I can't remember. No, the one that won the MIDI Innovation Awards was the the thing that won the MIDI Innovation Awards was the Pitch Innovations one, which was all about moving. If I explain it, I'll try and explain it properly. But it's moving pitch. When you move your pitch wheel up and down, it actually makes it go to the correct note, even depending on where you're playing. So it's not just about going up and down a couple of semitones. It's really interesting. It's meant for a lot of Indian music and stuff like that, but generally quite useful.
Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, awesome.
I think I've seen that one you're talking about. That one's really interesting.
Yeah,
microtonal.
Christian Chitan, I think, was the guy who won it.
If you want to find out where it's on the MIDI.org website. If you go into the awards news, it's you can find linking through there. It's videos and everything in there about it.
And there was some really interesting MIDI devices on that, actually. Like there was one guy who had, I don't know if you watched it, but there was one guy who'd built models of like houses, and as you opened up doors and moved things around, it actually triggered off MIDI information. It was like for an art installation.
Yeah, the cardboardy. That was the cardboard thing, wasn't it?
One.
Yeah.
Which is just, it was kind of like unexpected, I think, but very interesting.
Yeah. Fantastic. I think big thank you to Kent, who's just popped a 20-pounder in. Beautiful. That's going to pay for a few throffies for Brooksy and myself, and see if we can try and get one somewhere over to the US. Yeah, awesome. What are you showing there?
I want to show you this one more thing.
Andy, yeah.
Yeah,
what do you got
real
there?
quick, because I forgot to bring this out earlier. Do you guys use Audio Machines modular stuff at all? It's the Italian company, Audio Machines.
I haven't heard of them, no.
Audio Machines.
So they make a lot of really cool stuff.
Tell us more.
This would take too long to hook up, but I just wanted to show you the box. There's a modular version and this little standalone box. This is EEG to MIDI.
Okay.
So I have a NeuroSky Bluetooth headset. It reads EEG information from your brain, the alpha, theta, all those different waves, converts them to modulation sources. Not so much notes because that's too complex, but there were guys. It's so funny because we were talking about early synth stuff a long time in the beginning of this show, and I was in a library in college and I found this really cool monograph on EEG for synthesis. And I quickly made a photocopy. I've had it ever since. And, a real EEG is like, $100,000. And, got to tune it up and you got to know how to use it and all the leads and all that stuff. This is the little toy. It's the NeuroSky toy headset you use for making a ball float in the air with a little fan. And It's all about concentration and all that stuff. And so they thought about that when they made this. And this takes Bluetooth from the headset. And there's a concentration mode, there's a relaxation mode, there are a couple of different modes. And it's really fun just to do goofy stuff with your synths with it. So, it's not cheap. It's like, I don't know, $500-$600 or something like that. But I got this before I got any modules. This is my first, that's why it's in a box. I didn't have a modular case to put it in. So I bought this version of it. And it's got a MIDI port right there. It's ready to go. It's just super cool. And I saw people doing like homemade ones, and even the homemade ones are crazy money. And it's like, I'll just buy this one. This is good. They also make at some, I think it was Super Booth, they had a breathalyzer mod. So the drunker you get, the more modulation you get.
That's a great idea.
It's great. And I ran into him at NAMM and I said, you got to make the breathalyzer mod. He goes, we're just messing around.
See, Lisa, now you need to get into modular. So there you go.
And
ADAC,
the Spanish company ADAC. I think it's Portuguese.
Yeah.
Spanish? Portuguese.
Yeah. ADAC systems.
So they make a thing that I got. I didn't have time to hook that up either, but it's a myo sensor module. You hook up your face to it or your arm, and you torque and tweak and do all kinds of stuff, and it converts your signals like the plant wave thing, kind of, but more deeper. It's the muscle triggers into modular sources. So it's very cool, weird stuff. So you can make these crazy faces on stage while you're doing your modulations.
I now know what you're talking about because I've seen the ADAC system one, and the guy...
it's a little red module.
Yeah, the guy used his hand because it's got all sorts of different muscles in the top of his hand, and he just slowly, very, very slightly moved his hand like that, and it just created all these crazy modulation effects. Yeah, no, that's a cool one. I'm glad you showed us that.
I had to buy it because I saw a Japanese guy doing it with his face, and it was hilarious. I said, I got to try this.
So, like,
I can do that.
Just, you know, close up with the face there, Andy. What was he doing with his face? Just show us, you know. Beautiful. That's like me when I do my
really
rant
cool.
section.
But it was really, I mean, super expressive.
Yeah. We're going to have to wrap it up because it's getting on, and we need to probably do a part 2 to this show. It's brilliant. Big massive thank you to Andy. He got up really early. I don't know if you guys know, but it was about 5 in the morning that he got up, and he lives
I didn't even go to bed, to be honest. So.
Yeah, so he's probably extremely tired.
Go to bed.
Yeah. Also, a big thank you to Andrew Mead. Nice to have you on again, matey. Obviously, you're always welcome back.
Always good.
Always welcome back.
It's great being back on.
And Brooksy, good to see you as always, mate. I'm glad you're starting to slowly get better.
Thanks for having me, as always. Yeah, feeling a lot brighter than I was certainly last week.
I bet you're dying to go plug your new modules in.
Do you know what? They haven't come with a single piece of paper. So I'm going to have to, I've got the manual on the website and downloaded the PDF.
Yeah.
Because you have to plug in a bus cable underneath, and it's, well, which way round do they go? I'm really cacking my pants about.
Do not plug it in the
wrong
wrong way
around.
around.
Things up now.
Yeah.
No, be very, very careful. So they're going in now.
What was it? It was Alex from Milo Melodies famously plugged in a
dope for module.
Yeah, dope for module. Yeah. So I think we've all learnt from his. So far I've never ever done that. So, but I've always been
got to be extremely careful.
Very careful.
Only the output module takes direct power from the board.
You've blown two.
Ouch.
Yeah. Oh, no go.
They're only $100 each, but I saw that video right after I burned them. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they don't use the shrouded headers and they don't mark the damn line.
Yeah. And there's a beautiful thing in electronics called bridge rectifier. You know, that's all. It's just. It's not a hard thing.
I talked to Dieter Depfer at NAMM. He's a super cool guy, and
he is cool.
The format and all that stuff. So I didn't want to yell at him, but I was like, I wanted to tell him, can't you just label it and put a thing on there?
Just put a little notch on it or something.
Well,
put a little mark.
The last Depfer module I bought had a shrouded header on it. That was the buffered bolts.
Enough complaints.
Yeah,
I think they probably have. Yeah.
Big thank you to Wagoo for the 5 pounder as well. That was very nice of you.
Here's Wags.
Just as we're finishing up, so just put it in the chat as well.
I just learned there's a mnemonic is Depfer down, right? So that's what I do.
Yeah. Or the
stripe is down.
Stripe down, and there's also
Depfer
usually
down. Good. I remember that. Yeah.
Usually a little white. There's usually a little white line on them these days on the circuit boards. Anyway, we're going to finish the show. Say goodbye, guys. Thank you very much, chatties.
I've got the sponge on the back.
See you later.
Take care, folks. See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks.
We'll come back in a sec.